Sorry, my Teaserking family. Let's try this again. My apologies, but I can't control my internet. It seems to do that, or if it's going to do it, it seems to do it early. All right. So, just to repeat, hey, David, nobody wants Shador. Why would you? He's abusive and things like that. And then you got the deal with Prime. And he's not very good. Anyway, real quickly, gold 33.18. I showed you silver squeeze with what Luke's talking about. Again, it only works in a free market. So you could silver squeeze this, but you can't silver squeeze something that is priced by Comex, JP Morgan, and the mafia. They're controlling it with derivatives, and therefore you can't get that price. There's nothing you can do. You can't buy it and make the price go up if the derivatives and options are keeping the price where they want it. So just get that clear. All right. So let's go to the NFL draft. The best, I don't know why they keep talking about Shador for. Who gives a fuck? I think the worst pick I saw was Seattle taking Milrose. Really? You don't have a quarterback in the first place. I love when they go best players available. Based on what? You don't know best players available. Dylan Gabriel went to the Browns. I thought that was the steal of the draft. I think he's the best quarterback in the draft. I think the Browns got a steal. I don't know why the Raiders didn't take him. The Raiders blew it. All they talk about is Shador Sanders. Like, what the fuck? Why are they talking about him? Like he's all that. Where's my? I'm looking to get it by team. I was looking on my stats. The best offense is the best defense last year. The best defense was Ohio State. But I don't know. Ole Miss and Tennessee were right up there. Where is my thing I'm looking for? Maybe draft guide. Okay, here we go. Let's go team by team. So we'll start with Arizona. So I was watching Michigan, Oregon, right? After watching Ohio State, Michigan, and Will Howard looked okay. I think what happened in that game, Michigan ran it down their throat. So I wonder why Ohio State's defense is that good. They ran it down their throat, and they just didn't give Will Howard a lot of opportunities. When they got down there, they had nowhere to throw it. And then the kid missed 2 field goals for Ohio State, but they never were threatening to score a lot. That's why I don't know how they won the title, and I don't know why they were in the playoff. So then you watch Dylan Gabriel against Michigan, at Michigan. He destroys them. Oh, he has no I'm going to show you something first. I'm going to show you comments of some guy about Dylan Gabriel. This is what some idiot says. Older, how old is the guy? Shorter quarterback with limited arm talent in round 3. I'm going to destroy this guy, whoever this guy is. C. Robinson, whoever C. Robinson is. Okay, I mean, where's his age? I don't know, but how old is he? 24 maybe, because he played 6 years at college? So let's look at the quarterbacks, and then we'll get to the teams. So you got Cam Ward. Gabriel's much better than him. Jackson Dart, he transferred because he couldn't start at USC. Yeah, that's the guy I want. Tyler Shaw, again, couldn't make it at Texas Tech. Goes to Louisville. It's okay. He's average, nothing special. He doesn't have the it factor. Then Jalen Milrose. Are you kidding me? Jalen Milrose is a terrible quarterback in college. What's he going to do in the pros? You don't get better. And then Dylan Gabriel. This is the best quarterback taken the last because he's older. What, 24 is too old. Shorter. Yeah, he looked like he couldn't throw the ball against Michigan. Yeah, really had problems there. Limited arm talent. Oh, he hit the guys right on the numbers, 40 yards down the field. I don't need to throw the ball 80 yards to be a good quarterback. In fact, that's the problem with these guys that throw the ball 80 yards. They don't have touch. They can't read the defense. I'd rather have Joe Montana and Tom Brady and Joe Burrow than, a guy who can throw the ball a long way. So I don't get this. This C. Robinson's a fucking idiot, man. I'd love to email this fucker, but he doesn't really know what he's talking about. All of a sudden, age matters. All right, so let's go team by team, or should we go position? Let's go position. Well, it's only day. You only have 3 picks in 3 rounds. Arizona starts off with Walter Nolan, a defensive tackle from Mississippi. Great pick. Mississippi and Tennessee were great defensive teams. Will Johnson from Michigan. I question this pick because he's a crybaby. He didn't play against Ohio State. That's not the guy I want on my team. Jordan Birch, edge from Oregon. I like this pick. Oregon with the great defense. And that's it. Let's go position because you're only going to get – we'll go team by team tomorrow. So let's go. All right, we did quarterbacks. So let's go running back. We might have to just do the draft. All right, Gentry goes to Oakland. Why didn't they take Dylan Gabriel? They need a quarterback. Omari Hampton goes to San Diego. I would have taken Scatterboo. Quinton Judkins out of Ohio State goes to Cleveland. I didn't like this guy. I liked the other guy on Ohio State. Scatterboo would have been better. This guy did nothing at Ohio State. Worthy. This is the guy who transferred from Ole Miss. They don't have running backs. This is a bad pick, but they get Dylan Gabriel. Travion Henderson, he's the better one. He went to New England. Okay, that'll be good for them, but they still need receivers and they need defense, although I do like their coach. RJ Harvey from UCF goes to Denver. Great pick. He had 1,700 yards at UCF. Caleb Johnson goes to the Steelers. Excellent pick. Love him. Very good back. Good for the Pittsburgh because they ball control you. And that's it. Let's go The wide receiver, McMillan, I don't like him as a first-round pick going to Carolina. Carolina still needs a quarterback. I don't think it'll make much. Mbuka goes to Tampa Bay. Again, he's not a first-round receiver. Watch the Michigan game. You got to be kidding me. Matthew Golden goes to Green Bay. He's got a lot of speed. He's okay. He's not great. I think they could have. If you watch the Texas, and I was watching Texas, Arizona State, I'll watch Texas, Georgia. There's a guy named Bolden. I think they got the wrong guy, who's a real quick punt returner. That's probably who they wanted. Jaden Higgins, Iowa State, goes to Houston. I don't know. Iowa State guys are okay. Luther Burden goes to the Bears from Missouri. He's pretty good. Trey Harris from Ole Miss, I don't know, goes to San Diego. Maybe he's okay. Jack Beck goes to Oakland from TCU. Slot wide receiver, I don't know. He'll go, but they have a slot called Brock Bowers, so this doesn't make much sense. He doesn't have great speed. I got Brock Bowers. I need a fast guy. I don't need a guy who's ball control. I don't buy that. Kyle Williams, Washington State. I don't know. Washington State didn't impress me last year, but whatever. Isaac Tesla from Arkansas goes to Detroit. This looks like the stupidest pick in the world. He had 20 catches last year. He tested athletically off the chart, but he didn't produce. He had 20 catches. He's a big body for the wide receiver room who can block too, which he'll have to do as a Lion. Yeah, I don't want a receiver who can catch. I want a guy who can block. That was a bust for the Lions. That was a terrible pick. Pat Bryan, Illinois. I think that's a good pick for them. They need a possession receiver. Now they got the running back. You got Bo Nix. You got Sean Payton. Jalen Noel, Iowa State, goes to Houston. We'll see, but Iowa State's got pretty good players. Savion Williams, excuse me. TCU goes to Green Bay, another wide receiver. I didn't realize Green Bay had no wide receivers. I thought they had a ton of them. Their problem is Jordan Love, actually. I don't know. Ty Felton out of Maryland goes to Minnesota. You got Justin Jefferson. Do you realize that? Okay. This guy won't even get on the field. Stupid pick. Especially from Maryland. Let's go to tight end. Loveland goes to the Bears. You still got Caleb. You still got big problems. Is he any good? I don't know. They ran a lot of routes where it was like zones, and then he comes underneath or over the middle. He can catch. Tyler Warren, Penn State, goes to Indy. Who knows? Mason Taylor from LSU goes to the Jets. The Jets need receivers. The Jets need running backs. I don't know. Terrence Ferguson from Oregon to the Rams. I like this one. Oregon has very good offense. Elijah Arrero from Miami goes to Seattle. Okay, Seattle's got a lot more problems than this. Harold Fannin, Bowling Green. This is the best receiver in the country. Goes to Cleveland. So Cleveland, yeah, with Gabriel, and now you've added this tight end, and I think you've added a good running back. Look, Cleveland got some offense this year to go with that great defense. Look for Cleveland. I don't know what else to look at. I'm not going to look at tackle. Doesn't mean anything. All right. Let's go to edge rusher, but it doesn't really mean much. Abdul Carter goes to the Giants. Giants need a quarterback. Stupid draft. Mikael Williams, Georgia, goes to San Francisco. Okay, I like that. James Pierce, Tennessee. Atlanta, I love that one. That was a great pick. He's the best edge in the draft. Ezekiel, Boston College goes to Dallas. I don't know. I didn't know Boston College had that great of a defense last year. Tamulio, Ohio State, goes to Indy. I don't mind that. They had a pretty good defense. Nick Scorin, A&M. Actually, this was the better defensive end. This guy goes in the second round than the guy in the first round who went to Cincinnati. He's not a good player. He's a good athlete, but he's not a good player. This guy, I was watching an A&M Texas game, and he made a lot of tackles. So this guy, so not bad for Carolina. And I think they got a running back. Odaccio from UCLA goes to Tennessee. Okay, but they still need a quarterback. Mike Green, Marshall goes to Baltimore. Everybody was saying how good he is. I don't know. Multiple sexual assault allegations. Oh, no. Good pickup, Baltimore. Landon Jackson from Arkansas goes to Buffalo. I didn't realize Arkansas had the great of a team last year. Prince Mulanana from Ole Miss goes to Carolina. I like this because Ole Miss had a very good defense. So this is a good pickup. Jordan Birch, Oregon, goes to Arizona. Arizona, I'm recognizing, picked up a lot of defense. Is there any teams we want to look at? Is Jack Beast? That's the guy from TCU. He's okay. He'll be okay from TCU. Let's look at Arizona. So Arizona gets a defensive tackle from Ole Miss. I don't know if the edge rusher was better, but I do know Ole Miss was a very good defensive team. So it makes sense to get players from that team like Georgia. Will Johnson, Michigan. That's a bust. That's a guy who doesn't want to be there. So he'll be injured a lot. Jordan Birch, Oregon, an edge. That's a good pick. All right, so they picked three guys, is it? All right. So Birch, good. They need defense. Will Johnson's a bust. And then this guy from Ole Miss. I'm not sure you got the right guy, but he's good. Atlanta had the best draft so far with the two defensive ends, one from Georgia and the other guy from Tennessee. Let's go to the Bears. Loveland from Michigan, the tight end. You know, you need a quarterback, fellas. Luther Burden. So what do they get? A tight end and a wide receiver for Caleb? Because Caleb can only play if he has good receivers. He can't play with bad receivers. Ozzie Trappel, offensive tackle, Boston College. I don't know. Shamar Turner, what is he? It doesn't say what he is. He's just there. He's from Texas A&M, but we don't know what he is. I think he's a defensive player. All right. So that's the Bears got. Hey, Prophet. Prime Jr. is no home. He's going to go play with Daddy at Colorado next year. I have a feeling the Raiders may take him with their fourth round pick. Why didn't the Raiders take Dylan Gabriel in the third round What the fuck were they doing? They had the best quarterback in the draft. They let him go. Cleveland picks him up. This guy's going to be a superstar. And you're stuck with Geno Smith. Who's the GM there? Al Davis again? Let's look at Cleveland. Cleveland has had the best draft. Mason Graham from Michigan, excellent pick to go with Garrett. Carl Schlesinger, linebacker, UCLA. Okay, so they're bulking their defense up. They need it. They play Baltimore and they play Cincinnati, and they don't have a chance. Then they get the running back, Judkins from Ohio State. They get the wrong running back. They should have got Henderson. This kid's not as good. And then they get Harold Fanning, who was the best tight end in the draft. He was the best receiver in the draft. He had like 1,700 yards for Bowling Green. So that was a good pickup. And then they get Dylan Gabriel, an older, shorter quarterback with limited arm talent. Who the fuck is this guy? He's your starter for the next 10 years, Gabriel. Great pick. How you get him in the third round, pick 30 is beyond me. That's ridiculous. This is the best quarterback in the draft. So, this is the Jalen Daniels of this draft. He can run. He's got very good football mind. He sees before the play. He puts the ball right on. He's like Penix, he reminds me. Puts the ball right in the guy's fingers. Good decision making, and he can run. And he put up 35 on Michigan. Ohio State put up, 10. 35 on Michigan. Come on, boys. That wasn't easy to do. And he ran in a threw some nice touchdowns. He threw one that he had like this much of a window, and he nailed it. So you got Fanning, a good tight end. I think Nick Chubb, they said they moved on from. So I would have rather had Henderson than Judkins. And then you've got the linebacker from UCLA, who's very good. And this Mason Graham from Michigan, who look good, but you never know with Michigan. Michigan's a bunch of quitters. So, I got to get ready for the draft. I might get hurt. What a bunch of babies Michigan is. I used to be a Michigan fan when Bo was there, because that was those are real men, not these guys. So I love what Cleveland's done so far. I'd have to say they're up there. It's like a Dallas. They need a quarterback. They pick up a guard. You could have had Dylan Gabriel, right? No, you get a guard from Alabama. Great draft. Then you get Ezraki, a edge from Boston College. That's a better pick than your guard. Then you got Revel from East Carolina. I have no idea. But you do need defense. You got three picks. That's the only problem. We don't have that much picks in. Denver, they got a cornerback from Texas. Okay, I'm not sure. They needed a running back. You got Bo Nix. RJ Harvey, the running back from UCF. This is great. He's a 1,700-yard, very good running back. This will be good with Bo Nix. Then they get Pat Bryan, wide receiver from Illinois. Okay, I'd rather have you with the speedy guys from Texas and Texas Tech and Baylor. Then you got Selvey and Jones, defensive line, LSU. I love it already. Any defense from LSU, he's a good player. All right. We got to look at my Lions, the biggest losers in the draft. Tyleik Williams, Ohio State. He didn't do anything in the Michigan game. I didn't hear his name once. I don't know. Ohio State had a good defense, so it wasn't one guy. I think this is, I don't know, 6'3", 327. He'll just stand there. He won't do anything. Tate Ratledge, offensive lineman from Georgia, terrible pick. Even if he's good, it's a terrible pick. He's going to sit on the bench. Isaac Tesla from Arkansas is a wide receiver who caught 23 passes last year. Oh, but he tested off the charts athletically. So he's one of these guys that's not a football player. There's a guy named Skeets Nehemiah, who you remember from the Olympics, played on the 49ers. He was pretty, but he'd have 10, 20 catches a year because he wasn't a football player. I think that's what you have here is a terrible pick. Hey, you need defense. Did we draft defense yet? Well, we got some guy out of Ohio State, not their stud, not their best player. We got a lineman from Georgia. We don't need linemen. We got a wide receiver who stinks, and we don't need wide receivers. So I give the Lions a Z. They need defense. They didn't get any. All right. They get one guy who is a joke. All right. Green Bay. I don't know what Green Bay is doing. Matthew Golden, not even the best receiver on Texas. There was a guy Bolden, who ran a punt back pretty good against Texas A&M. I'm not sure. Let's see. What about Quinn Ewers? How do you rate him? He's pretty good, but he makes stupid plays. I was watching Vanderbilt against Texas. 2 balls were tipped by a lineman and for interceptions. Otherwise, he makes good throws. So he's very inconsistent. I do think, he's much better than Milrose, and he's much better than Prime Jr. and that. I think he's okay, but he throws too many interceptions. So you got to be careful with him. I don't think you're going to win with him. But he's not bad when he actually has time and throws to the right person. Hey, David. Hey, Prophet. Okay. Raiders need a outside receiver. Yeah, I didn't understand who the Raiders take. Let's take a look at the Raiders after. So Green Bay, Matthew Golden, fast receiver. Anthony Belton, offensive tackle from Green Bay or from NC State. Who knows? Savion Williams, wide receiver, TCU. See, I'd rather have seen Oakland take that guy than from TCU than the guy they took from Baylor. So they've taken 3. So they've taken a wide receiver, offensive tackle, and a wide receiver. I believe Green Bay needs defense. I believe they couldn't stop the Lions. I believe they have 6 wide receivers. The problem's Jordan Love, who is not turns the ball over too much. They have a running back. They need some O-line, I believe. So I have the NC State. All right, so did we go to the Raiders? Let's go to the Raiders. Terrence Ferguson, a tight end. Or no, I'm at the Rams. Las Vegas. I thought LAR was Los Angeles Raiders. All right. Ashton Gentry, beautiful pick. Oakland needs a lot, right? They need some good. They got Max Crosby. They need 3 or 4 more Max Crosbys on defense. They got Geno Smith as quarterback. He's not very good. Ask Gentry. You had the guy from UTSA who you weren't using already, so I don't know if Gentry can beat him. He was very good, the guy from UTSA, but okay. Jack Back, TCU. Well, I don't know. He's a slot wide receiver. You got Brock Bowers. You need speed. Darian Porter, cornerback, Iowa State. I like that. Anybody from Iowa State on defense is good. They're well coached. They're good players. Caleb Rogers, lineman, Texas Tech. Okay, good pass blocker. Although Tyjee Brooks, he's an excellent running back. I don't know why he hasn't been taken. Charles Green me off. Fuck me. Am I still there, Prophet? Let me know if I'm still on, please. I'll give it a minute. And hopefully, yeah, I know it's a leg. Am I still here? Okay. Otherwise, I'd have to kill it, and I don't want to kill it. I've already talked a half hour. Okay. So really, you're getting a guy from William and Mary, and you think he's a pro. This is a terrible pick. Okay, thank you, Prophet. And that's it. So I like the lineman in the third round, but not from William and Mary. The lineman from Texas Tech, pass blocker. Okay. I like the cornerback from Iowa State. Jack Beck, I think they could have got better. Maybe. I don't know. I'll have to research him. I don't want to see combined results as vertical. Who gives a fuck? Okay. Here's the season. He caught 1,000 yards. He caught 9 TDs, but doesn't say how many he caught. 1,000 yards is nothing in college. Okay. Where's his speed? Why doesn't it give his speed? If you're going to give a draft analysis, can you give the speed? And then Austin Gentry. So I believe they got their running back. They need a quarterback. This guy's okay. You got Brock Bowers. So maybe Beck's okay. And then we're talking Porter should start from Iowa State. Rogers, okay. Charles Grant won't make the team. So they're kind of losing it there. Let's see, Pitt. Derek Harmon, defensive tackle, Oregon. This guy is a superstar. This is a great pick. I was watching the Oregon-Michigan game, and Gary Danielson pointed him out. This is the guy you watch out for. Great pick by Pittsburgh. Great defensive tackle. Oregon always has pretty good defense. Caleb Johnson, running back, Iowa. Beautiful pick there. So they had 2 picks. They made the thing. Now the question is, who's their quarterback going to be? Let's look at Washington, what they've done. David, they still got Aiden O'Connell as a backup. You didn't just say that, did you? Aiden O'Connell sucks. He sucked at Purdue. He's terrible. He's not a professional. This is like baseball when you look at the pitching staff, and there's like 3 pros on the team, and the other 10 are relievers are minor leaguers. He's a minor leaguer. Aiden O'Connell doesn't help you. Geno Smith doesn't help you. Dylan Gabriel would have got you to the playoffs. Washington, offensive tackle for Oregon. Okay, I like the pick. Give Daniel some help, but I think they need defense. Trey Amos, cornerback, Ole Miss. I like it. Ole Miss with the strong defense. And that's it. So they got 2 picks. Okay. They need help in the defense. Who else do we want to see? San Fran. Michael Williams, adds Georgia. Love it. Alfred Collins, defensive tackle, Texas. Love it. From 49ers going to be tough on defense. Nick Martin, defensive lineman, Oak State. Don't know. We didn't have that great of a defense last year. Upton Scott, defensive back from Western Kentucky. Now, we give Western Kentucky credit because they always have a good offense. And so I would think their secondary should be good, having a practice against them. And that's it. Prophet, Eldon's a 4-stringer at best. Who's Eldon? Is that the TCU guy? You're talking Oakland? That stupid Patriots coach messed up the Raiders. Since they lost Al Davis, they've been messed up. Aiden O'Connell sucks. Aiden O'Connell. Yeah, he's not a good. He wasn't good in college. It blows my mind. The guy sucks in college. You think he's going to get better in the pros than he did in college? I don't think so. I like the Niners pick so far. Their defense is basically rebuilt with these four guys. Anytime you need defense, you just go to Georgia, maybe Iowa State, Oregon. Let's go to the JETSs. Now, here's the difference between a good team and a bad team. We looked at Denver and Frisco. Let's go to the Jets. What do they need? Everything? Offensive tackle from Missouri. Really? With the seventh pick in the draft, they could have had Dylan Gabriel, but they could have had all these defensive players. You take an offensive tackle. That's the first problem, that the GM doesn't know what he's doing. Taking an offensive tackle with the seventh pick in the draft that's loaded with defensive players, and you need a defense. Terrible pick. Mason Taylor, tight end from LSU. You need running, you need receiving. You let Devontae Adams go. You need a quarterback. What the fuck are you doing with the tight end? Azai Thomas, cornerback from Florida State. I didn't know Florida State had a defense. I question this pick. Now, maybe you need quarterback. Don't you have Sauce Gardner? So that's 3. I give it a Z. They don't even get, it's like ABC. They get a Z. Terrible pick. I don't care how good the offensive tackle Missouri, it's not going to show up. It doesn't matter how good your line is. They can blitz you. It's not a position that you go after in the first, second, or third rounds. Who's beeping me? I don't have Coinbase, so fuck off. We don't even want to see Tennessee. Let's go to Kansas City. See if they got help for against the Eagles. Offensive tackle from Ohio State. It's okay. We'll give them. They needed the offensive line, I guess. I don't know why they couldn't get into free agencies. Omar, this is Kansas City. Omar Lott from Tennessee, defensive tackle. Excellent pick. The Tennessee and Mississippi had great lines. They had great defenses. This is a great pick. This guy would have been better than the Lions taking the guy from Ohio State. Ashton Gillette, defensive lineman, Louisville. Oh, it looks like Kansas City thinks they need defense. Defensive lineman, Louisville. Defensive tackle, Tennessee. And an offensive tackle from Ohio State. You've got Mahomes. You probably need a receiver. Noel Williams, DB from California. Okay. You got Spagnola. That's not bad. Raiders' 4th-round pick. Scatterboo just went to the Giants. Well, they got a steal for sure. The Giants might be okay. They got Scatterboo. Oh, wait, they didn't get a quarterback, did they? Who's their quarterback? Now let's go to the Giants. The NYGs. Abdul Carter. Okay, not what they needed. Okay. I mean, you got Thibodeau. You got his defense your problem. Probably not as much as offense. Then you go get Jackson Dart. No. I think they got him because he can run and they don't have an offensive line or running backs or receivers, but now they have a running back. Darius Alexander, defensive tackle from Toledo. Again, taking defense when you need offense. Cam Scatterbrew, this is a great pick. 1,568 yards and 19 touchdowns last year. This is why I'm high on him. You guys don't know who he is, and I'm telling you. 1,568 in the Big 12. You had Kansas State in there. You had some other good defenses. He killed Colorado. Great pick. Yeah, I mean, Scatterboo, I was shocked that Denver didn't get him. He'd have been perfect for them. Um, I don't know. So the Giants, offense, defense. So the problem is, all right, Carter should start. Jackson Dart, you're going to start Danny DeVito. Darius Alexander, bench player. And Scatterboo's your starting running back, and I don't even know who their running back is, but I don't know what difference it makes. You got rid of Barkley, so what are you going to do with the running back? The problem is right now you'll just key on Scatterboo and you won't pay any attention to Dart throwing the ball. You'll just blitz Dart. So good pick for the Giants. I don't think we've looked at Philly. Jaleel Campbell, I don't think he'll fit. You got 6 Georgia guys, and now you're bringing in an Alabama guy. I don't think he's very good. I thought that Alabama had a very bad defense last year. Andrew Mukabe, cornerback from Texas. Okay. Texas had a really good defense. Okay. Good pick for Philly because they lost a lot of. Oh, they've only had 2 picks. Okay. So they wasted their first pick with Campbell, but I understand why. Anybody else? Well, Seattle. This has got to be the dumbest pick. This GM should be fired, not only for hiring the coach he hired, getting rid of Geno Smith, bringing in Darnold, but now you get Gray Zabel, a guard from North Dakota State who probably won't even make the team. If he does, he'll be a bench player. The Seahawks have added a versatile guard who's loaded with potential, and can play a variety of spots up front. Zabel had good film against who? North Dakota? How did he do against Ohio State? Oh, yeah, he didn't play them. Nailed the All-Star game circuit, big fucking deal, and blew up the combine. Oh, he's good in the combine wearing shorts and a T-shirt. Who is this idiot? I don't want a guy who's jack of all trades. I want a guy who's like an all-pro tackle or an all-pro center. The problem with these guys that are not good at one position, I see it in baseball all the time. They're playing 5 positions. That means they suck. Would you play Derek Jeter at the whole infield, or Brooks Robinson, or Willie Mays? Would you play him at second base, or would you kind of leave him in center field? Mickey Mantle, DiMaggio. I mean, these guys, you play them in one position. You don't fuck around and put them all over the place. Nick Emery, safety from South Carolina. What are you doing? Okay, you do need defense. Let's see, they get a guard from Southfield Lathrop High School. He's a bust. You get a safety from South Carolina. God knows you need defense. Then you get a Roro, a tight end from Miami. Are you fucking kidding me? You just let DK Metcalf go, and you let Lockett go. You don't have a receiver. The kid Smith Najima is not any good, and you got to be kidding. I've seen Ohio State receivers. We're still waiting for Marvin Harrison to make a catch. So this guy, what are you doing? And then you get Milroe, the quarterback from Alabama who can't throw the ball. What a stupid. Who is this GM? There you go. The GM's so smart. The GM's so smart that Seattle, we're going to be betting heavily again. Who's their quarterback? Oh, yeah, Darnold. Oh, all we got to do is blitz Darnold, and he runs away. Milroe ain't going to save you. Milroe's tight end from Miami. Okay, that's great. A safety from that, you need linemen and linebackers. Safety is the last thing you need. And a guard from a high school with your first pick. So not only did you draft a lineman in the first round with the 18th pick, But he's not even from a real college. Oh my God. All right. Enough of this. Let's go to Major League Baseball. So let's look at yesterday. I know I hit my lock, the Mets under 9.5. And I know I hit Pitt under 7. Paul Scanes throws a shutout against the Dodgers 3-0. All right. The Cubs under 8, we win as they play a 4-0 game with Philadelphia, which is they shut out Philadelphia. Colin Ray with his .96 ERA. Detroit gets rained out. Washington 5-4 over the Mets. I go Mets under 9.5. Lock, it wins. Toronto and the Yankees, I go over 9. It loses. Toronto actually beats them 4-2. The Yankees are hard to figure. I mean, Aaron Judge is hitting 400 and 2 runs here. I got Cleveland. Where did Cleveland go? They must have got rained out. Minnesota under 8 wins 11-4. Where did they get all that runs from? KC under 8. They win 2-0 over Houston. Sometimes the method to my madness works. There you go. KC 2-0 Houston. There's just no hitting on either team. St. Louis under 8 wins. They win 3-2 over Milwaukee. Very good. Cincinnati wins over Colorado 8-7. Arizona over 8.5 wins. They win 8-2. Chris Sale, pretty good. Gives up only 2 runs, so maybe he's coming back. That was my 2-star. Tampa Bay, San Diego. I have San Diego. Unfortunately, they lose. And it was a 1-0 game. And that's where pitching beats hitting. I couldn't figure it out because both teams can hit and good pitchers. I didn't know under or over. Miami, Seattle. I had Seattle. I lost 8-4. Wow. Cal Control with his 7.83 ERA wins. Oakland over Chicago White Sox 6-5. I have Oakland. Pitt under 7. They win 3-0 over the Dodgers. And the 49ers under 7.5. They lose 2-0. Nathan Eovaldi. Verlander pitches pretty good. He only gives up 2 runs. Pitches 6 or 7 innings. And there you go. Yeah, Cleveland got postponed. Detroit. So my 5-star lock wins. The Mets under 9.5. Arizona over 8.5 wins 2 units, and Pitt under 7 with Scanes wins 3 for 3 on my picks. Oh, I'm so excited. So the system works. I don't know if it's a system. It's just an analysis. When you got good pitchers, you play the fucking game under. When a good plays a bad, you don't. The lineups are looking like they are making sense. So I could be onto something here. I'm not sure. All right, let's look at today's games. Today is 4/26. God, we're almost out of April already. It was just New Year's. Let's see. Scatterboo goes. Raiders on the clock. Dante Thornton, they drafted TK. Who the fuck is that? You're right, David. Raiders took a wide receiver. Good pick. Has Prime Jr. been blacklisted? No, he stinks. Prime Jr. is a hard. The coach that interviewed him says he's a very arrogant son of a bitch. Nobody wants to work with that. And he's not very good. So he won't be drafted. Prime's trying to get him drafted with his bullshit, but what did he do at Colorado? He got sacked 100 times and he threw, so he wouldn't throw interceptions, but he's not good. And if you look at the other quarterbacks, if you go into my drafts for the quarterbacks, so let's check it. Will Howard's still on the board. Jordan McLeod's still on the board. He's better than all of them. Dylan Gabriel's been picked. Tyler Shaw's been picked. Cam Moore's been picked. Dart's been picked. Will Howard is certainly fine. Chandler Morris and Jordan McLeod are from North Texas and Texas State, should be drafted. Curtis Rourke from Indiana, nothing wrong with him. And Ewers, maybe. So you got three good quarterbacks, better than prime juniors, sitting there. So that's why they haven't even drafted Will Howard yet. So they're not drafting prime junior. He was projected as the second pick overall before the draft. By whom? Raiders still have another fourth-round pick, so they could still take a quarterback. Well, they could take Will Howard. Will Howard will be better than Geno Smith. They should take the kid from Texas State. Jordan McLeod is a star. He's a very big, strong kid with a good arm. Who can I compare him to? Well, he's better than Jalen Hurts by a mile, but he's got a better arm than that. I don't know who to compare him to. Very good arm, though, and he can run. Very strong guy. So your question is, Dante Thornton. Well, let's look at Dante Thornton, and we'll see who he is. What team is he on? Dante Thornton. Why do you guys think it's a good pick? What college is he from? I don't think it's a good pick. I don't know. I've gone through 2 pages and I haven't found his name. All right, let's go back to the draft and see who the hell they drafted. So where's round 4? Tennessee to Shamir Dyke out of Florida. Yeah, good pick there. Jacksonville, some running back from Virginia Tech I never heard about. James. New England, Craig Woodson, defensive back. Jack Kaiser from Notre Dame. Dante Thornton, wide receiver, Tennessee. All right, let me check that out. Let's see if he's anything. I don't even see Dante Thornton's stats when I look at SEC wide receivers. This has to be where the fuck are they getting this guy from? Did he not play last year? Oh, here he is. Caught 13 balls for 600 yards and 6 touchdowns. Seriously? "13 games, caught 26 passes, 600 yards, 25-yard average, and 6 touchdowns." This is the best they could do. I'm not going to give it a good grade. Sorry. He was projected as yeah. Will Howard, yeah. Okay. All right, back to baseball. It's a terrible pick. A guy like that you get as a free agent, not the 7th pick, not in the 4th round. Okay. So let's go today. 110, we got a half hour. Boston at Cleveland. Boston 115, 7.5. Tanner Houck, 0-2 with the 7.66. Ben Lively. Oh yeah, this is what we did yesterday, but it was rained out. So we'll take Cleveland. Boston no hitting. Cleveland a little bit better. Yeah, we'll take Cleveland at home. Better pitcher. Baltimore Detroit was postponed yesterday. Brandon Young against Casey Mize. So we'll take Detroit and we'll play him for the 2 units we were going to play yesterday. California and Minnesota. Minnesota minus 120 and 8. UC Kachuki for California, 0-3 with the 3.38. Simon Richardson, 1-2 with the 4.78. He pitched pretty good last time. I think he beat Detroit. Minis at home. I don't know. Let's see. California, 4 hitters. Minnesota, 1 hitter. Okay, we'll play this game under. Mini under 8. No bet. Milwaukee, St. Louis. St. Louis, 150 and 7. Quinn Priester, 1-0 with a 1.93 against Sonny Gray, who used to be good on Oakland. 3-0 with a 3.41. Milwaukee, 5 hitters. St. Louis, 4. Over under 7. I'm going to go with Milwaukee here with the 1.93 pitcher. Cincinnati and Colorado. Cincinnati minus 210.5. Hunter Green, 2-2 to 2.35. Colorado. We'll take Cincinnati here. I like Hunter Green. Over under 10.5. That's a high number. We'll take Cincinnati 2 units. All right. Philly and the Cubs. Philly minus 118 and 7. Jesus Luzardo, 2-0 with the 2.08. Ben Brown, 2-1 with the 4.57. I'm going to go with Philadelphia here. Over under 7. Let's see. The Cubs have 7 hitters and they're at home. And Philly has 6 hitters, 7. Now I'm going to go over Philly over 7. I'm going to play this for 2 units. Too many hitters on the Cubs and in a small ballpark. and a 5 ERA for the Cub guys. So Phillies should get some hits. The Cubs will get some hits. Okay. Over. It's a low total, 7. The White Sox in Oakland, Oakland 225-9. Jonathan Cannon 0-3 with the 4.81. Jeffrey Springs 3-3 with 5.64. We got to go over here. Oakland over 9. Texas and the 49ers. 49ers 135-8. Tyler Mahle 3-0 with the 0.68. Robbie Ray 3-0 with the 4.07. Yeah, this is Texas. And we'll go 2 units here. Let's see. Texas has 6 hitters. The 49ers have 3. Yeah, this is all Texas. Better hitting, better pitching. 2 units. The METS, Mets against Washington. We hit the under 9.5 yesterday. It's 9.5 again. Mets 175, 9.5. Clay Holmes 2-1 with the 3.16 for the Mets. Brad Lord 0-2 with the 4.73 for Washington. They scored 9 yesterday. The Mets 4 hitters. Washington 2 hitters. Yeah, we'll go with the Mets. No bet though. Baltimore, Detroit in game 2. Charlie Morton 0-5 with the 10.89. Kenter Montero 0-1. We're going to go over here. And the over is 8. And we'll go 3 units on the over. These are both the worst pitchers on the teams. This Kenton Maero is terrible. Boston, Cleveland. Boston minus 110-8. Walker Buehler 3-1 with the 4.23. Doug Hazy 0-0 with an 0.00. Boston, can they hit? Is this a double? Yeah, this is a doubleheader also. I'm gonna. I don't know. Let's go over 8. No bet. Houston, KC. We hit the under yesterday. Framber Valdez 1-2 with a 4.50 against Michael Waukaka. 0-3 with the 4.15. No hitting in this game. KC with 3 hitters. Houston with 2. Just Altuve. Valdez 1-2 with the 4.50. 7.5 with no hitting. Man, I don't like this game at all. You get 2 4.5 pitchers. How are you going to bet a game under 7.5? I'll pass. Atlanta, Arizona. Arizona minus 129.5. Grant Holmes 3-1 with 3.22. Merrill Kelly 3-1 4.73. We'll go with Atlanta. They've been hot. Tampa Bay, San Diego. Tampa won 1-0 yesterday. San Diego minus 145.7. Ryan Peapot 1-3 with 4.82. Dylan Cease playing like a pig, 1-1 with the 6.04. Dylan. 7. Do we have any hitting at all in this game? Tampa 5. San Diego's got a boatload. We're going to go over here. San Diego over 7. Yeah, with these pitchers. Dylan Cease. What happened, Dylan? The Pirates and the Dodgers. We had Pittsburgh in the bet with whatchamacallit, with I want to say Styles, but that doesn't sound. Scanes, and it was a winner. The Dodgers 275 and 8.5, and you can tell it ain't Scanes. Mitch Keller 1-2 with the 4.18. Rob Sasaki 0-1 with the 3.20. Pitt's got 4 hitters. LA's got 4. We'll go over with this Pitt over 8. I can't bet Sasaki at 275. That's crazy. And Miami and Seattle. Seattle 235, 7.5. Connor Gillespie 0-2 with a 6.75 against Luis Castillo. 2-2 with a 4.44. Miami. Miami's got a lot of hitting. Seattle's got 1. Miami should win the game, but Seattle's a big favorite. Miami's pitcher sucks. We're going over here. Let's go Seattle over 7.5. All right, so that's baseball. We start with Cleveland. We got Detroit, 2 units in game one. We got Minnesota under 8, Milwaukee, Cincinnati, 2 units, Philly over 7, 2 units, Oakland over 9, Texas, 2 units, New York Mets, Detroit over 8 in the second game, 3 units, Boston over 8, Atlanta, San Diego over 7, Pitt over 8, and Seattle over 7.5. The bets: Detroit, game one, Cincinnati, Philly over 7.5, Texas, and Detroit over 8 in the second game. That's 5 picks. All right, let's go to basketball. I have been red hot in basketball. Jesus Christ, I nailed everything the last 2 days. Maybe I should actually predict basketball. Holy Christ. So yesterday, was a gem. I called Orlando over Boston, getting 9.5. I didn't think they'd win straight up, but I called it. Orlando wins 95-93. W number one. I have Milwaukee, who was down 0-2. Lane 5 kills Indy 117-101. That's 2-0. And I have Minnesota over the Lakers. They win 116-104, 3-0 after 3-0 the night before in basketball. Wow, this psychology works wonders. So Orlando had to play do or die. They're down 2-0. Boston doesn't really care, and Orlando gets the win. Milwaukee had to win, was 1-1 with Indy. No, it was down 2-0, and they get it home. They go down 3-0. It's over. They win. And Minnesota is after it's had split in LA, but off of a loss, and they had the better team and they win. So 3-0 yesterday, including Orlando over Boston. Fuck off, everybody. All right, Saturday we've got 4 games. Cleveland leads the series 2-0, goes to Miami, Lane 4.5. Miami in a must-win, but Miami's 37-45. Shouldn't even be in the playoffs. I cannot do the same thing as I do with Orlando. I'll take Cleveland here, laying the 4.5. Oklahoma City, Memphis, 1-8. Oklahoma City, laying 15.5. They lead the series 3-0. The game was closer, game 3. Oklahoma City will not even show up today. I think Memphis in 15.5. Hangs around. This is do or die for them. I think they at least play and keep the game close. I don't know if they can win, but Oklahoma City won't care up 3-0. They'll probably win it at game 5. Denver and San Diego. San Diego 6.5. San Diego leads the series 2-1. I think San Diego wins this one, and Denver will win in Denver. Again, they're up 2-1. They don't want to go 2-2 back to Denver, so this is a must-win for the Clippers. And Houston, Golden State, this series is tied at 1. Golden State laying 3.5 is at home. I love Golden State here, laying the 3.5. They'll kill Houston. So Golden State over Houston, must win. Clippers pretty much must win. Memphis, Oklahoma City won't even care. And then Miami, Cleveland. Because it's only 5.5, I got to take Cleveland there. So that's NBA, and I've been red hot in the NBA, nailing everything the last 2 days. Boston losing to Orlando, and I hit it. Oh, all right. I don't know. Are you guys watching the draft still? I don't know. So we got baseball, we got basketball, we did the draft. Will Howard, he had a bad game against Michigan. Somehow he won the title. I don't know. Jordan McLeod, Will Howard, Chandler Morris are out there. Yours is okay, but he makes a lot of stupid plays. Dagio Pava is the best, but he's not in the draft. Let's see if we have. I mean, I don't know where round 4 is. Where did I have to go for that? I mean, they're still showing me yesterday's picks. All right. Cavs scatterboo to the Giants. Great pick. I don't know what you're going to do with them. You had Barkley, so I don't know. Jack Kaiser, defensive lineman, Notre Dame went to Jacksonville. Thornton goes to Tennessee, goes to Oakland. Deion Walker, defensive lineman from Kentucky. And now you're really stretching. Arian Smith, wide receiver, Georgia. Georgia did not have any good receivers last year. Ty Robinson, defensive tackle of Nebraska, goes to Philly. Well, Nebraska's not really a great defensive school. Danny Stutzman, linebacker, Oklahoma, goes to New Orleans. CJ West, defensive lineman, Indiana. Indiana is being overlooked here. Goes to the Niners. Another good draft by the Niners. Trevon Etienne, Georgia, goes to Carolina. He was injured a lot. Decent player, not great. Cody Smith, defensive lineman, Ohio State, goes to Arizona. Arizona loading up on defense, which they need, God knows. And that's Oakland picks again, quite a ways down. And that's the 4th round. I'll tell you, the Lions are fucking up pretty bad. Everybody's saying what a great GM they have. What did he do? He took a team that had no talent. He gets Jared Goff, who stinks, but he gets lucky in that he drafts a decent running back that in the 1st round, and he drafts a decent receiver in the 1st round. He trades up in the 1st round, and he gets these guys. And he gets Penny Sewell in the 1st round, and he got Hutchinson with the 2nd pick. So basically, what has he done? I mean, he took obvious guys in the 1st round. He took a running back he never should have taken. The receiver from Alabama, never should have taken him. He got lucky that they turned out to be decent. But the only reason the receiver from Alabama's any good because he had the other guy from Notre Dame, Rossman, who's pretty good. So now you've created balance. You've got running and passing in a decent line. Not that this guy you added is any good. And then you've got you've got balance. And Jared Goff is not anywhere near what you think he is. And you're not winning with him. You never will win with him. You never win anything big. You can win in the regular season, beating Jacksonville and Tennessee and Indiana, but not any. You play Baltimore, he doesn't show up. You play Philadelphia, he doesn't show up. That's what you got. But then where was he last year? And we'll look at this draft this year. The guy's fucking clueless. He needs defense, defensive tackle from Ohio State. Yeah, okay. That'll really help you. Good against the run, but Washington killed you, and Minnesota and Green Bay can throw the ball. I'm not sure Hutchinson can ever come back from the injury. Everybody assumes it's a broken leg and he'll just be back and ready to go. He's not going to be back ready to go for the first half of the year. If he plays week 1, he's going to be crippled. You need a defensive end, and you don't have one. You signed the wrong players. You don't want a left tackle and a right tackle you're paying big money to, just one. The thing about Sewell, everybody thinks he's so good, is that if you understand the best pass rusher lines up, that's why you have the good left tackle to guard the quarterback's blind spot. That's where the stud defensive end lines up. So that's why you need the good left tackle to guard him. But on the right tackle, who's there? Most teams maybe have one good edge rusher. Philadelphia, they're coming up the middle. So very rarely they got two good edge rushers. So he looks better than he is. You're wasting money on paying a lot on a right tackle. You need to determine he's the left tackle or you got to get rid of him. You can't pay the guy that kind of money to be a right tackle and block nobody. That shows you how stupid the GM is. You can only pay for one left tackle, and that's why they don't have defense. They can't pay it. Then they're re-upping on these wide receivers and Hutchinson who's injured. So I don't know. Good luck on that. I didn't see the Hutchinson injury. I was in Italy at the time, so I want to take a look at that. But I've heard he won't be back for a couple of years, and I guess that's the excuse of losing, right? Well, he's injured. We lost because my guy was injured. It's a great excuse. Meanwhile, you didn't win. They had their best chance last year, and they couldn't even beat Washington. Their defense is bad and didn't get any better. They'll be healthy. Well, until they're back on the field playing, they're not healthy. You got guys with broken arms and broken legs, and they don't just heal up. Anyway. All right. Anybody else drafted? Then we're going to get into economics. But you can still talk draft if you want. The Niners, I think, are having a very nice draft. And Arizona is getting. Houston, Woody Marks, running back, USC. I don't like that pick. All right. China cuts off SWIFT, 1.2 trillion. China rejects Apple and McDonald's. Trump doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. All right, let's go with some Stoic. I got two Stoic ones.
If you want to be untouchable in a chaotic world, learn these 10 Stoic principles from Epictetus. 1. Don't react, respond with reason. 2. Your peace is your power. Protect it. 3. Control starts with the mind. Master it. 4. What others say is noise. Focus on your path. 5. Accept fate but act with intention. 6. Don't depend on outcomes. Love effort. 7. Stay rooted in values, not emotions. 8. Delay judgment. Think before you speak. 9. You are not your thoughts. You are your actions. 10. Let go of control. Embrace acceptance. The Stoic path isn't easy, but it's the only way to live free. Let nothing disturb your inner peace.
Hey, if you want to get rid of your fear...
You gotta love the Stoics. Next
Ever met someone who just doesn't care what others think? That unshakable confidence? Here's the Stoic secret behind it and how to get it. Ancient Rome. A philosopher walks through a crowd ignored, but his mindset? That's what made people stop and watch. Here's why. We waste energy begging for approval, needing validation. But the Stoics knew obsession isn't won by chasing, it's won by indifference. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The less you care, the more powerful you become." Not arrogance, just total focus on what you control. Your actions, your standards. When you stop reacting, they start wondering. When you're unmoved, they're hooked. A Roman general once ignored insults from rivals. Days later, those same rivals begged for his advice. Why? Indifference creates mystery. Self-control screams strength. Want to be unforgettable? Stop trying to be. Master your reactions. Let them wonder why you're so unshakable. Hit subscribe. One short story like this every day. When it comes to carrying your old gold across borders, the rules are different for different countries. So one cannot give here a specific advice if you can take gold from one country to another. In Europe, it's generally around 10,000 euros that you can take across borders. But that normally some is coming down all the time. So therefore, you should really take advice before you take your gold across any border. We think the right thing to do is not to carry it yourself, but to transport a reputable security transport company, which also insures the gold. So don't carry your gold yourself because there's a risk to that.
Imagine waking up. Did you hear that, Prophet? There's security companies that can take your gold across, and for what you have, all your gold, you probably want to do that. All right, I'm gonna rip Matthew Poffenberger here, not Egon. This was on yesterday.
Welcome, Matt. We're back to another Gold Matters chat. It certainly starts to matter more of gold. At least the world has discovered it. We've known about it for a long time, and I've been talking about it, writing about it for over 25 years, and you've been involved a bit shorter than that. But nevertheless, we're both predicting most of the things that are happening now, and it's so fascinating. In my latest article that came out yesterday, actually, I quoted Churchill, who's had many words of wisdom, and he said, "The longer you can look back, the farther you can look forward." And this is what you and I have been saying for a long time. That basically it means that if you study history, you have a good idea what's going to happen in the future. So therefore, what's happening to a monetary system, I mean, that is without fail, the failure of the currency system happens with regular intervals and has throughout as long as money has been around. And therefore, to predict that this system would fail too was not very difficult. And of course, we saw that accelerate from 71 with Nixon closing the gold window. I watched again. I've probably watched it 2 or 3 times. The Big Short, this is about the subprime crisis, the crisis with the financing U.S. homes with massive leverage and selling the debt paper several times over, and then packaging them and selling that with a top credit rating, and all basically a fraudulent Ponzi scheme, and that's what then was the catalyst of the system virtually collapsing. I mean, we were hours away from the banking system collapsing. And I thought it would actually happen then, the collapse, but it didn't. There were skillful central banks to repair it temporarily. But now we're back again to a similar situation, and we could see 2008 as just a rehearsal, and the real thing is coming now, and I'm pretty convinced that it is. I mean, we are seeing now how the monetary system is disintegrating. That's what gold reflects, and this is, nobody should believe that this is just a gold mania. This is actually a re-rating of gold, a permanent re-rating.
Well, Egon's not really clear what he's talking about, so I'll have to settle it. Yeah, well, that's what he was talking about, is this a security firm who secures and insures the gold between borders. But he's talking like what you have, 15, 20 bars, not me with, if I take 5 ounces or 10 ounces across, I got more, but I'm not going to take all of it. But if I were to take 5 or 10 ounces, it would be in my pocket and nobody would know I have it. But yeah, if you got $1 million of gold, you certainly want to have that insured So that's good that her privately insured courier company to transport the bars here, and that's your $4,000 for the private courier. Well, at least you don't have to worry that you'll get it. But my question is, then why aren't you just sending them to Deb? I mean, so now you got to do two transactions. You got to get them, but then you got to get them to her. Why don't you just send to her? Why do you need to be involved? So I don't know why you'd want two trips. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I mean, if it was me, if I was in your shoes and I'm going to marry this girl in California, first I'd ask, is she out of her mind to live there with the high taxes and the high everything in there? But if that's where she lives, then what am I do? Just send the bars to her and off you go. What do you need me for? If it's real, if it's a Ponzi scheme and you're going to scam me and I pay the $4,000, but as long as I take delivery of the bars, I don't care. But are the bars real? And if they are, then why am I taking delivery of them to send to her? That doesn't make sense. Why? Why do you need to take delivery first? They're not your bars. If she's going to give you some, then she's going to give you some, but she might not. I don't know. I don't understand that. If they're not, if I'm getting them for Daria and they're Daria's bars, ship them to Daria. Don't ship them to me. What do I need them for? And then it's up to Daria to give me some. And if she doesn't, she doesn't. I can't do that. Now, if she says, I'll give you 3 bars, I would expect 3 bars from her. But again, it's not your parent that died leaving you the gold. So, I don't get why they're giving you any, but if they are, that's great. I'm happy for you, but I don't know. You're going to get them and then you got to ship them. That's going to cost you more money to ship them to her. Well, what do you need to get them for if you're going to ship them? If you're getting them to get 2 or 3 bars and keep them, then okay, but ship you 2 or 3 bars, ship her the other amount. Deb could cut me out after she has the bars. Well, that's the point. So, the part that you have to ask yourself is why are you involved in the first place? The dad could ship them, or the attorney could ship them to her. Period. Why is the dad not just shipping her all the bars? Why are they including you? Why does she have to be married to get them? What's going on? What do we really know about Deb that tells us the father's worried? So what if she doesn't get married? She doesn't get the gold, and they just sit there? Really? Does that make any sense? I wouldn't, Daria's got a daughter. I wouldn't say she's got to be married to get my gold. I'd say, here you go. Here, I'm dying. Here's my gold. It doesn't play. It doesn't sing, as they say. It doesn't make sense. She doesn't need to involve you in the first place, right? So cutting you out isn't your option. It's not your gold. It's hers. So what is there that says you get any, and then why do you pay? Why are you paying? It's a private company. Why isn't the attorney just paying? Or why does Deb not have money to pay for the shipping? This I don't understand. Anyway, back to this. So first of all, you don't need to know history to know economics. Yeah, the Germans hyperinflated, as did the Romans, as did the French, as did the English, the Spanish, and the Amsterdams. They all printed their money to death. But I don't even need that. If you understand that this is not, the key to understand is this backed by anything? And it was until 1971. Nixon takes us off of gold in 1971. The nature of government, they're going to print it to zero, which they've done. They print. They can't even balance their budget. There's a $37 trillion debt. This has no value because it's not backed by gold. So forget history and look at facts. This is not backed by gold. They printed 150 trillion because you got to include the FX transactions that now BRICS is not using. And the petrodollar, which nobody's using to pay for dollars for oil. They use their own currency, China, Russia, whoever. That's what you need to understand, not history. Not these are just plain logic facts. These are not, if you, it's like saying if you eat a chocolate cake every day, you're going to get fat. Well, I don't need history to show me that. All the calories and sugar you're having, you'll be dead in 6 months anyway. And that's a fact, and that's got nothing to do with history. That's what happens when you eat a bunch of sugar every day. And so what he's talking about is just strictly gold. Really has nothing to do with currency. Gold is an asset that's been price fixed, so it doesn't move. Let's look at Hank Aaron, right? Hank Aaron, $60,000. All right. Does it matter what the dollar did? No. Doesn't matter anything. No, he's already played. It's the condition of this card. How many PSA 8s or 9s or 10s are there? Because it's limited, the price goes up. You can't print it. It's Hank Aaron. He's already played. The market dictates the value based on a PSA 9. There's not a lot, and there's demand. It's Hank Aaron. And that's really what you must understand. Or Cal Ripken. It's his rookie card. Played in the most games. He was a 300 hitter. Oh, this won't show. Great player, superstar, Hall of Fame. Okay. Does it matter what the dollar's doing that creates the value? Absolutely not. The value is there because there's a market, because there's demand for the card because of the player. Supply is low if it's a PSA 10. That's what you have. So why is gold conceived that it only has a value if the dollar goes down? It doesn't. It's an asset like anything else. There just isn't a market for it like there is in baseball cards or Rolexes or Picassos. There's no market. Those are free markets. So if I have one to sell, somebody buys it. Gold and silver are repressed and pushed down by the mafia, by JP Morgan. Those are why gold and silver doesn't have a value. It's got nothing to do with the dollar. So people need to start understanding that fact. It's the Comex keeping the price down. They're price fixing it. It's not free market. It's not I put this out and somebody buys it. It's Eddie Murphy with the derivatives going, no, I'm going to short it. And that's bullshit. Gold has a much, much higher value, and it has nothing to do if the dollar's strong or not. Just like the Hank Aaron card and the Picasso have nothing to do with the dollar. It's this how much demand is for the card. How much demand is there for gold? I'm sure a hell of a lot more than the price is showing. So you don't have a good price. So that's why I'm going to tackle the Egon. Deb could cut me out. We need a prenup contract for sure. Well, quickly, why are you getting married? If you're getting married because you love each other and you want to be together, then the gold's immaterial because you're not marrying her for the money. Is she marrying you so she can get the money? That's really the question. So if there's no gold, are you getting married? Right? I'm gonna marry Daria because irresponsible. She doesn't have any money. I got gold. She knows that, but I don't know. I don't think that's the reason. If she was, we would have met and married already. She wouldn't be scared of meeting because of the war. So that's the first question is, would you marry her without the gold? And would she marry you without the gold? If not, you don't want to marry her because then she's just using you to get the gold and then goodbye. And what do you need to waste your time? Stay stoic. So that's what you first need to figure out. And don't worry about getting cut off. If you're married, her gold will buy you a house and a car and take care of you anyway. What's the gold for? And we know it's 88 ounces, so we know how much it's worth, and it's only going to be worth more. So isn't she going to, if not give you gold, at least buy some clothes, buy a house, buy a car with all that money? What you going to do with all that money, right? So I don't like that. You need to marry her, and she needs to marry you, as if the gold wasn't there. If that's the case, then that's fine. Otherwise, you don't want anything to do with it. Now, if you're marrying her for the money, then yes, I would get that in some sort of writing. But then why do they need you in the first place? Okay, the father said you need to be married to get the gold. Then she's marrying you for the gold, and then therefore it's not going to work. I'm just throwing it out there. So be careful with that. I hope it's real and everything's fine, but then you wouldn't have a problem. Daria has no gold, and I got gold. So if I marry Daria, I'm going to use the gold to help her. I'm not going to, sorry, Daria, I've got the gold and you're not getting any. That's what I tried to show Jenna. I mean, I gave her like an ounce the last time we met. Like, here, it's, yeah, I have gold, but I'm protecting it because the price is going to go up. And I'm giving you some to protect you. So here, have some gold. I'm not giving you half. I'm giving you an ounce here and there and a half ounce here and there. But I am sharing it with you. But the majority, there's no reason because the price is not reflected where it should be and where it's going. And we need the gold. We need to hold it at this. It is not something we want to spend now. We want to spend it later. We want the value to go up. All right. So Egon's really not clear what he's talking about. When we get to Matt, he's a fucking idiot, and I'll rip him apart.
Gold, with central banks moving from having treasury securities in the reserves on the balance sheet instead having gold. And this is a long, slow movement, but it's going to happen, and it is happening now. And that's the re-rating of gold that is so critical for the market. People believe that we're just now gold is overbought, it's going to come back down again. Of course, it will correct. It will always correct. But I've been saying for quite a long time that don't expect a big pullback now. We are in a different era. We are in an
gold will not correct once it's not price fixed. The price fixing is the correction when they do the derivatives, shorting it. The Maze and the Mantle card I showed you, they don't correct. The Montana card's 110,000. It doesn't correct. That's where it only goes up because the price is set. Why would the price go down? It's Joe Montana's rookie. It's Jerry Rice. These prices don't go down. A Bobby Orr rookie card, a Joe Namath rookie. They don't correct. No correction. The market is at where it should be. So but there is several markets, as I showed you. There could be 20 Joe Montana rookie cards going between 80,000 and 110,000. That just means that's where they're at. So again, the markets don't correct. It's the derivatives and the fake Comex market that is doing the derivative, that it's doing the variables. Not in a free market, it does not correct.
Acceleration phase of gold. And that makes it, of course, we've been into this as a company for 25 years. We've helped people to preserve wealth in the form of gold from time gold was $300. The world hasn't discovered it yet, but they're starting to now. It's coming on the front pages. People are talking about it. It's in the newspapers, it's on television. But still, nobody owns gold. And of course, we've seen major investments coming into our company, but relatively, you're probably not going from more than 0.5% of world financial assets to 0.6 or something. There's marginal silver boot. But the important factor to remember here is that gold is now, as the Bank of International Settlement is declared, is now a tier 1 asset, which means it's compared to cash and treasury bonds. And I think that's just laughable. Gold is as good as cash and treasury bonds. Cash goes down to zero, or money. The value of money goes down to zero virtually every 100 years, let's say, on average. And treasury bonds is the last thing you should ever hold, because they're never going to be repaid with the real money, and the currency therein is also declining. So Gold is so far superior to any other asset. And this is what the market is now discovering, Matt. It is not just a speculative move into gold now. It's a re-rating of the whole of the credit system. There is nothing else of value now that gives security. And that's what people are discovering.
But they never had value. This is toilet paper since 1971. The only thing that ever gives money value is that it's backed by gold or silver. It's the gold or silver that gives any. If this was backed by gold or silver, my Red Wing cup, all right, if this was backed by gold or silver, that would have value. This has no value. Well, a little bit. It's worth $2, $3. Does this have value? Does this have value? This has value what the market will give it, maybe $50 because it's 12-year. It's a specialty. Okay, that's where it would have it. But that's the point. This is only valued because it actually has whiskey in it. This is paper. This has no value. When it's backed by gold, it's the gold that gives this value. As soon as it's not backed by gold, it has no value. This has had no value since 1971. It's been worthless, but you've all been made off because you'll see 100 on this dollar, and you're like, oh, it's worth $100. And what's $100 worth? Nothing. Not really. It can buy, okay, I can buy this shirt for $30 or $40. This is one of my later polos. But again, how is the price set by the market? They use the dollar to pay it. But now why the dollar is going down? Why is Coke $3.50 for a 2-liter? Because the dollar is losing value and people are discovering it, but it's hard because people are limited. They only get so much. When you go to work, you need to ask for at least $10,000 more to cover the inflation, which will never happen. So it's very, very key to understand this. And I'm finding people aren't getting it. They don't understand that inflation is the value of the money dropping. That's what inflation is. You listen to this Matt guy, and he goes, well, there's inflation, and then there's devaluing the money and money printing. Just say inflation. That's what it is. Money printing, which devalues the dollar. He doesn't get it. We're going to hear this in a minute. Egon realizes that the dollar is going down. I'm not sure he realizes what inflation is, but by the printing, the inflation is the dollar, not the prices, which everybody seems to think, oh, inflation's down to 2%. No, you're an idiot. It's not down to 2%. Inflation is thousands of a percent. You can't measure inflation in prices. So why do you try? And why do you think it is? And why do you think it's year over year? So people who don't know just say that. So let's listen to Matt.
And that's why people are scared, because sure, retail buyers of stocks are buying stocks now again on the dip, but they're going to get slaughtered. We are not going to see stock markets recovering here. We're in a long-term downtrend that's going to take stocks. Let's say the stocks in relation to gold, go down by 90 to 99%. I mean, I've been saying this for years, and it's now starting to happen. What is interesting here is, you're an American, and you've seen Trump now actually being blamed for all of this that's happening now, the tariffs, etc. But we've both been saying, and I wrote in my last article, it's not Trump's fault. It just happens to be the perfect instrument to actually finish this saga.
Well, no, it's Trump's fault. Doing the tariffs is Trump's fault. The $37 trillion in debt and the war in Ukraine and the war with Israel is not Trump's fault. Trump should end the war in Ukraine, but he's not. I don't know why not. And I'm freezing. Fuck. Hopefully I don't lose it. I can see when I freeze, then all of a sudden it says internet connection. But Trump is responsible for the tariffs, and he's doing it to try to get the $37 trillion back. All right.
of this monetary system. I mean, his capricious decisions and his erratic dictates, they are perfect for the end of a monetary. He was just placed there to execute this. He's not the cause of it. The cause was created by the debt system. But you have observed this from an American point of view, Matt. So let's hear what you have to say.
Well, it is fascinating. Certainly, he is a bull or a bear in a china shop with executive order after executive order breaking or healing things, depending on your view. But it's not a partisan question. It's a mathematical question. As you said, it's an historical question. Trump is certainly a needle pointed at a balloon. The balloon is the debt crisis globally and certainly in the U.S. And so it's very easy to blame Trump or give credit to Trump. But as I've joked cryptically many times, Santa Claus or Papa Smurf or Mother Teresa or the most brilliant Nobel Prize winners on the planet can't solve this debt crisis and the debt problem. Again, the numbers are kind of vague and abstract, but 37 trillion in public debt is unsustainable, unpayable. And so with Trump, making executive orders, this is great. We're doing DOGE, or we're cutting spending. That's optically and substantively fine, or finding the corruption in U.S. aid and cleaning that, again, optically and fundamentally great. But
Has he said anything that makes any sense to anybody? Okay, first of all, yes, there is a way to kill the debt, and that's with gold. And you just revalue gold to $37 trillion and you pay it off with the gold you have. That's how you pay off the debt. That's how you get out of this whole thing. Inflation is the money printing. So you switch money from monopoly money, US dollar, to US dollar backed by gold. You have to have the gold to make the money worth something, and then make the price of gold much, much higher if you can, but the market really has to do it. So you got to get out of its way, let the market value the gold, get as much gold as you can, and then pay off the debt with it. That's your way out. That is a way to do it. If you have a bill and you have gold, just wait for gold. Let's say you owe $10,000, wait for gold to go up. When gold hits 10,000, you sell 1 ounce of gold for the 10,000 and you're out of your debt. Simple as that. Gold will fix everything. Or a real asset. If you had Mantle cards, if you had Picassos, that's how you could get out of the debt. So don't say there's no way to get out of it. But otherwise, all he's doing is repeating Doggy and Trump and Musk and this and that. What the fuck's he talking about? He's not original and he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Guppy solution to a whale of a debt problem. And with the tariffs, the liberation day, as he called it, because Trump's attitude and the view of his supporters and certainly his detractors, but that America is a sucker. We've got a trade imbalance. It's not fair. We need to protect industry. We need to reshore industry. All of these are important points, but he didn't create the fallout and the volatility in a VIX at 52 just by announcing tariffs. The problem was the debt market couldn't sustain it. And there are two key issues I think viewers should pay attention to, again, regardless of their politics, because this is math. Trump talks about how unfair the world is and the Chinese are.
Okay. There are no such things as a trade imbalance. And these tariffs and blaming China for the trade imbalance. What the fuck's he talking about? You don't trade with somebody to have it equal. Where does this come up from? There's no equal trade. If I trade my Cal Ripken card for $5,000 and then Luke trades me Roberto Clemente for $10,000, it's not supposed to be equal. I'm not trading you, Cal Ripken for Clemente so we each get $10,000. That's got nothing to do with it. I'm going to sell you my inventory. So I'm going to sell you Cal Ripken, and I'm going to sell you Hank Aaron, and I'm going to sell you my one-on-one Iserman card, and I'm going to sell you my Lemieux rookie. That's not going to balance. There's not a balance. China's labor is $1 a day, and ours is $60,000, right? We can't even make our goods and compete in the market because our goods are too expensive because our labor is too expensive. So therefore, everybody's going to buy goods from China because their labor's cheap. What does that have to do with trade? Of course, we want to buy the goods from China because I can get this shirt for $20 if I get this shirt from where am I? If I get this shirt, my little polo player shirt, if I can get this for $25, $30 because it's coming from China, or if I get it in America and it's $100. I'm not going to buy it for $100, but I'll buy a few of them for 25, 30. That's not China's fault because their labor is cheaper than ours. That's the whole point of it. You go around the world, international, and whoever can make it at the best quality, at the best price, we buy from. But it's not with the intent that then they buy from us and we have balanced trade. Who the fuck's coming up with this? This is not free market economics. I don't know if this is even Keynesian economics. You're not supposed to get even trade. But the benefit is everybody in the US can buy this shirt for $25. That's the benefit. And because we can't make it for 25, we go out of business. That's part of the game. You can't compete. That's the point of the free market. If Joe can make donuts for $1 and Bill makes them for $3, everybody's going to buy Joe's as long as they taste good for the dollar. So that's why prices come in, and that's the point of it. Alligator is didn't know what value is. He says, well, gold doesn't lose its value. Even though the price goes up, the value remains. No, the price is the value, alligator. So, I mean, that's the whole point of this. If China can do theirs cheaper because they got all these people who are uneducated and unskilled and will take $1 a day, in the U.S., it's going to take $60 a day or $60 an hour, and it's $2 an hour for China. What do you think? So, of course, they're going to make it and sell it cheaper. That's called competition. And you can't compete, so you get out. So we all buy from China. We win. What's the problem? I don't know what the problem. I don't know why everybody thinks we're supposed to get free trade is supposed to be equal. It's not supposed to be equal. Then we got to compete, and our cost of labor is too high. So how the fuck are we supposed to sell at the same price? What do we sell? We sell Madoff. We sell weapons. So we're trying to have wars so people sell our weapons. We need a market for our weapons. That's what we sell: weapons, a little bit of technology, and stocks and houses and their money. That's what we sell, and they sell shirts and clothes and food and everything else, and that's the difference. So we sell different things. Nobody buys tanks from China, but they buy from the US. But we need wars to have the demand go up. What the fuck is that? That's why the big three automakers moved most of their operations overseas years ago. Well, that's what I said. Yeah, I was working at Ford. That I overheard executives say that. And I say it's going to nip you in the butt down the road. They thought they were hiring engineers for 10 grand. And an engineer in the US, this is back in the 80s, was 100,000. And so they thought, oh, we'll save all the money. The problem was it wasn't apples and apples. The engineers hired in China didn't know anything. And the ones that knew something quickly switched jobs from Ford to GM and back and forth and Mercedes and wherever. And then they started making 100,000. So it didn't work. The regular labor, they switched with robots. So I don't know why, but it's all, if you want to blame, you blame Ford and GM for moving their plants to China, and Apple's plants is in China. And, why do we all go to China with our goods? Because it's cheaper. The labor is cheaper. Why does Apple have that whole thing I showed you? Nobody forced GM and Ford and Apple to move to China. And now you want to bitch about the trade? Guys are out of it's unbelievable.
The offshoring of jobs that's a big debate, but it's real simple. We have a current accounts deficit of about $2 trillion a year, and all that really means when you compare our spending to what's incoming, we have a $2 trillion gap. And for Trump to blame that on the Chinese or the BRICS or de-dollarization or a world that is unfair is really kind of missing the bullseye.
Okay. I don't know what the current account is. I don't like when people go there and don't explain it. Uh, we spend more than we take in. That's not got nothing to do with trade. It's your budget, right? So if I make $10,000 a month, my budget, I should spend less than 10,000 a month. And I should do it where I maybe do 5 or 6,000 and then I can buy gold with the other. But your budget is not based on your trade, it's based on your income minus your expenses. So what does that have to do with free trade? What it has to do, I don't even know if that's the current account. I don't know. I don't want to know shit like that. That's not economics. And so you're thinking, what are you talking about? It's he spends more than he takes in. No, that's retarded. That's retardo talking. Um, I have no idea. Trump is talking about turning America back into an industrial nation again. Well, but you can't. We don't have the industry, and our industry cannot compete with China or Vietnam or India. We can't compete because our labor is too expensive because we have unions. And therefore, once a guy's making $50 an hour to screw in a light bulb, he's not going back to $10 an hour. So we can't. We don't have the factories. We don't have the plants open. Nobody sells steel, or we're going to bring steel back. How? Oh, he wants countries to avoid tariffs by moving here. How expensive is that? And then you're going to bring your labor? You're going to bring the Chinese here? No. So that means you got to hire Americans at $60 an hour. Nobody's moving here. That's why people don't move to Michigan to these car parts because they got to pay union labor. They go to South Carolina or other states where there's no unions, like Ohio. That's why they do it. But he thinks that we're gonna be mad. We're not. We can't be. It's impossible because our labor's too expensive. So if we wanted to be, then open up a factory. Trump, you got $1 billion. Open up a steel company, and then you'll find you can't because the steel is too costly with your stupid tariffs, and then we don't have. We need tools and equipment, and you need capital, and you need buildings, and you need people that know what the fuck they're doing, and then you need customers. You can't just open up a steel plant if you don't have a customer. And will I buy from you, or are they still going to buy from Vietnam and China and India because it's still cheaper? Because you can't make it cheaper than them. And that's the simplest thing of economics is, what did I say? The first thing I tell you about market, you want to sell coffee mugs. I can't believe I broke my Bellagio one. I can't. You want to have a market. Well, if you're going to have a market, the first thing you need to do is what is the selling price? $20. What's your cost? $25. You can't be in business if the cost is more than the price. So I got to find the price first that I can sell it to, and then I got to find the cost I can make it, and then I got to find my competition. And you can't compete with the Chinese now. The tariffs kind of help you compete, but the Chinese aren't stupid. They go to other countries to sell their goods. It was Mexico and Canada, and now it isn't. But who cares? It's not important that they do it because at the end of the day, we're buying it. We're buying things far cheaper because their labor's cheaper. Who cares if we give it to China? What do? They get US dollars, which they got to get rid of. That's another reason that the FX thing where you had to buy dollars to buy Swiss francs or whatever. That's why they bought all our treasury debt because they needed dollars because they're getting paid in dollars. They got to get rid of them. So they would buy the treasuries, and they don't want them anymore. It's not because the dollar's not worth anything. The bottom line of this whole thing is the dollar is worthless. This is not backed by anything. It's just paper, and paper's not worth anything. So no matter what Trump does, it doesn't matter. The dollar's collapsed. It's worthless. Now, this is the message I am trying to preach is the dollar has no value, but most people don't want to hear it. Luke's friend, my friend. Oh no, I got 400, 500,000 in 401k and the company matches it. Okay, it's worth the same as Kleenex. This is what $1's worth. Okay, it's not worth anything because it's not backed by anything. It must be backed by gold or silver to have a value. Bitcoin is not backed by anything. It's worthless. But it went up to 95,000, so nobody wants to listen. How did it get there? Because Larry Fink and the Russian mafia raised the price because they're ready to sell. But you don't know that. All you know is it's going up. So that's all I care about. So right now I am destroying this guy because he's an idiot. Egon I like. Egon gets most of it. This Paffenbarger, I can't watch. He's too stupid to watch. His comments and his thing, he's a stockbroker type of guy who, if you notice, he just talks and doesn't say a word. I love eating these guys up.
And Jeffrey Sachs was in a conference recently in Atlanta, and he made a brilliant analogy. And I thought about it. It's like you have a credit card, and the biggest credit card on the planet Earth is the U.S. national government, and you spend beyond your means. And when the bill gets there, you look for someone else to blame. It's kind of like if I gave my son a credit card and he went into a mall and bought everything he wanted. And then when the bill came and I saw the horrific cost of the credit card spending, I wouldn't blame it on the mall or the stores in the mall. I would blame it on my son misspending the credit card. And in a sense, what Trump is doing with these tariffs, as we're the suckers, he says, is he's blaming China and the rest of the world for the fact that the U.S. spends well beyond its means. And tariffs are not going to really solve this problem. So it's really too much debt, too little trust, and too much little interest.
Okay, tariffs could solve it if you got it in, but you have to keep the price down. This is a stupid analogy, but okay. It comes back to your dollar's worthless. All right. Now the fact you're spending more and you want to blame the Chinese doesn't make any sense at all because the government isn't the one buying the shirts and the golf clubs and the tennis rackets from China and Italy and France and India. The public is. So it's not even a good correlation. The government spends more because we got to pay interest on the debt, we got to pay the military, and we got to pay Social Security and Medicare, and we got to pay all the government employees. So that's why we don't balance the budget. It's not a credit card where we spent too much. The spending had to be spent, right? You had no choice but spending on the debt and the military and Social Security. So I don't know what he's talking about. He's talking apples and oranges. Yes, if you go and you put too much on the credit card, that's your son's fault, not the store's fault. But then you're an idiot for giving your son a credit card and having him max it out. You give him a card with a small limit. That's just solid, but that's not what's going on here. We're not spending more because of China or the tariffs. It's got nothing to do with that. We're the ones doing the spending, the public. We're the ones buying the shirts and the pants and the clothes and the food and and lumber and whatever else we're buying is the public buying it. It's the public that makes that the how much we import from China. And there's nothing wrong with that. If I can buy this for $40 at the Polo store discount store, I didn't spend too much. I benefited from it. I got it for $25. I bought 10 of them. How is that spending too much? That doesn't make sense, does it? So again, he talks, and he always likes to throw the name Jeffrey Sachs. Now, I looked up Jeffrey Sachs because he's been on a little bit. He is not a Keynesian, and he's not an Austrian. I think he's more Keynesian than Austrian. He's kind of like, he makes it up like I'm a global economist, but he is kind of Keynesian to a point, and he's very little Austrian. But he won't say he's Keynesian, but I think he is Keynesian because he teaches at an Ivy League school, so he's almost got to be Keynesian. He thinks he knows everything, but he doesn't know anything. I don't like to listen to him. He likes to blame for the war, all Trump, this and that, but And then I hear people talking about World War III, which the World War III, what they don't understand is happening in economics, not military. It's BRICS. BRICS is World War III, where they're using gold-backed currency and we're using toilet paper. That's World War III. You're not going to see bombs going. They're too expensive. You're not going to see a military war. It won't work anymore. You will not see a World War II. First of all, there's no Hitler running around, but you're not going to see it. All that you see is BRICS going with the gold-backed currency, not using the dollar. That's World War III.
In our IOUs, our U.S. Treasury, because we've spent beyond our means, and we've also weaponized that dollar in 2022. So the fault isn't with the rest of the world. The fault lies more within the U.S. and the debt. And even these tariffs, Egon, look, Chinese exports to the U.S. are about 12% of their exports. They're certainly not helping China, but it's not going to bring China to its knees or to negotiate. I think what we're really talking about, as you introduced, it's a debt crisis, it's a credit crisis, it's a liquidity crisis, it's of our own making. Trump was the last one.
A debt crisis and a credit crisis, I hate to tell him, is the same thing. This guy's so hard to normally I don't listen to him, but because he was on with Egon, I wanted to hear Egon, and then he'd do it. And I for some reason, actually, I said, okay, let me listen to this moron. But he does, wait till he gets to the inflation part. I think he only talks for a few more minutes. All he's doing is spitting out again with the tariffs. The point is not to balance the trade. Why is that all of a sudden a balancing point? Well, we'll balance it. No, you don't need to. It's got nothing to do with balancing it. What's got to do with Chinese labor is $1 a day, and our labor is $60 an hour. And so we buy the goods from China, and that's fine. That's what free trade's all about. Why do you think we're supposed to have free trade? When you have free trade, you're not supposed to trade the same amount to China or Russia or India as they trade with you. It's that you get and benefit from the goods and services they have, and they buy and benefit from our goods and services. But it's never supposed to tie. Where are they getting this from? This is like inflation's year over year. Prices. Where are they getting that from? That's got nothing to do with inflation. Like all right, a little bit more, and then we're before we all throw up, right?
When the music stopped, not be able to find a chair, I thought what was very interesting about Liberation Day, when the VIX spiked and the markets tanked and there was volatility everywhere, within 24 to 48 hours, Trump, quote unquote, pulled back on these tariffs, at least for the EU and some of these other countries. And again, the reason is just like Powell couldn't fight inflation, he couldn't raise rates because the bond market went crazy. He couldn't do it. He failed at fighting inflation with higher rates. And what's happening to Trump is he's failing at these tariffs because the markets and the bond markets can't handle the volatility. When markets were crazy, no one was buying U.S. Treasuries. I'm sure Bessent walked into his office and said, look, yields are spiking on the 10-year. We got to do something optically quickly. So like Powell, Trump is weighed down by too much debt. It's unsolvable, Egon, in my opinion, and certainly we share it. But I mean, there are many who still think that Powell or Trump have a trick up their sleeves or a magical solution.
It's not a magical solution. It's called gold and silver. I don't know why that's so hard to comprehend. These guys are so fucking stupid. You can, if you have enough gold, 37 trillion's gone. Period. Because gold's real money. Gold's a real asset. Gold has a real value. It's not that hard to figure out. Your paper is worthless. That's why it's 37 trillion, not 37 million, because you keep printing and printing and printing. Raiders just took a DT. What is this? Oakland Raider draft time? Trump is talking about turning Raiders. Raiders just took a DT. Okay.
And I just think, what are your thoughts on this notion that this is a fixable problem? I mean, clearly we're at a historical turning point where it's not, but many people just don't want to see that.
Well, it's been clear to me from the very beginning, every monetary system ends in the same way. And
no, only monetary systems that don't use an anchor, a gold or a silver anchor to their dollar ends this way. And since all the monetary systems do not have the gold or silver backing, that's why they end. That's the reason France was the world power for 100 years, and then England had it for 100. When they were using gold, they were fine. It ended when they got off of the gold. World War I ended England, and then they had to pay for all their stuff in gold. Then they had no more gold, and that's the end of England. We have no more gold. That's the end of us. But we don't want to say it because we know that ends it. So we keep saying we got 8,000 tons of gold in your Fort Knox, but we really don't because the guy from Die Hard 3 took it all. And so we realize that if we say we don't have it, we're done. And that's why we won't audit Fort Knox, because we won't show that we don't have it. But China and Russia and BRICS have all the gold because they understand if we have the gold, we're number one. And they can't determine who's number one. So all of BRICS will be BRICS will be number one. And that's the point. That's the whole key to it, is that there won't be one country. It'll be a whole system. BRICS will be number one. That's why everybody's joining, because A, they want to use gold, and B, they can't trust the US. They certainly aren't going to trust Russia or China. So the only way they can trust anybody is to trust gold. And that's what's happening. That's how you win, is with gold. That's why we buy gold. We're our own little country, the professor's country, and Prophet's country, and Luke and Nick and Bobby and all that. You've got the gold, which means you have freedom, and you don't have to worry about the debt. The stock market will crash. Everything in paper will crash, which is why I bring you the Titanic. It all crashes. All the paper crashes because it's not backed by anything. That's why I tell you don't be in Bitcoin, because it's not backed by anything. It's worthless. This at least is backed. This is a card. This is at least real. Again, I egg you on with Bitcoin. What's it look like? Oh, you don't know. What's it feel like? Oh, you don't know. Can you see it? No. You can't see it and you can't touch it. How can it be real? If it's not real, how can it have a value? And only idiots that are sitting in Bitcoin thinking they got something worth $90,000. Well, it's worth $90,000. Well, okay, show it to me. Show me that you have Bitcoin. Show me the Bitcoin. I can show you my wallet that shows I have $90,000 or whatever. It's just a Ponzi scheme. Sorry, it's Warren Buffett playing with Madoff. It's not real. It has no value. Anything that you can't see how can it have a value? Oh, look what I have here. Yeah, it's nothing. Yeah, you want to give me $90,000 for it? Because it's nothing, though. This is the problem. So, yes, you have the debt crisis. Well, it's not a crisis. It's just money's not worth anything. Everything's not a crisis. It's just you've got government who have their heads so far up their ass that don't know what they're doing, that are keep printing the money, and they keep printing the money. And oh, wait, we got interest on the debt. We got military. Enough with the military spending. Cut it off. You don't need any more government military spending. Yeah, but they're the lobbyists, and we give it to them and they give it back. And I walk out with $5 million and 8 homes being a congressman. That's the problem. It's just corrupt. You're letting Jamie Dimon and JP Morgan fuck around with gold, why? What's their point now? Oh, so we stay in the dollars, so we stay in the stock market? That's gone, fellas. You got to get out of the stock market, and you got to get out of the bond market, and you got to get your money out of the bank. So the quicker you learn that, the quicker it'll be. Look at all the people that lost their asses 2008 between Madoff and the housing crisis, or the housing problem. I hate calling it. It's not a crisis. You let people buy a house with no money, and you can want to call it a crisis. No, it's called ignorance. So that's Jimmy Clinton did that. So that's the problem, right? It's not a crisis. It's idiots in charge, but you've kind of just ignored it. Well, yeah. Oh, now it's 37 trillion. At what point is it non-attainable? At what point do people still buy your bonds? You want people in bonds? Oh, I'm a financial planner. 60% stock, 40% bonds, no matter what. Yeah, you're killing these people. These people are all going to go broke because you're an idiot. And you get your commission. Big deal. You get paid in dollars. Unless you're smart enough to Rumpelstiltskin it in the gold and silver, you're fucked. So, did our friend Matt Puffenbarger say anything that anybody can even understand or follow? He talks a lot, but he doesn't say anything. You know who else does that? Mike Maloney, Jim Rickards, Rick Rude, and Andy Scheckman. They talk, they don't say a word. Mark McGuire, I didn't even watch the show. He had that lady on, Lynette Zhang. She's an idiot. She's a stockbroker. Yeah, she's into gold and silver, but probably because she sells it, but she doesn't really know why. I don't get anything from her. She copies me a lot. But no, I don't listen to her. So I didn't even watch the show because I'd be throwing up listening to her. So that's what I don't like about these guys is the gold guys will go on this show. So everybody goes on Mark McGuire's show. We don't want to watch him. If we wanted to watch him, we'd listen to him, but we don't want to. We want to hear your point of view, Mark. And then when you give us this shit, we don't want to watch that shit. Raiders took Tonka Hemingway. Is he like a poet? What? Raiders have to draft at least one quarterback in the draft. Well, unfortunately, they're obviously Geno Smith and Aiden O'Connell, and they'll go 6-11, and and Coach Pete. Yeah, Geno Smith's not the answer. I don't know why they think he is. Should he get rid of Russell Wilson? So I don't know what to tell you, but the Raiders are they'll hand the ball to Gentry a lot, and they'll hit Brock Bowers a lot. But they don't have a quarterback. They do have 3 picks in the 6th round. Yeah, but who are they going to get? All right, maybe they'll get Will Howard. He'll be their starter. If they're smart, they'd get Jordan McLeod. But, oh, yeah, he went to Texas State, so forget him. Unless he's not in the draft. I thought he was. And Ewers, too many turnovers. He'd be like Cade McNown. Will Howard. Well, we'll see. I watched that Michigan game, and I just had to laugh at it. How did you lose to Michigan? And the field goal kicker missed 2. Maybe somebody will draft him. But Will Howard, they were all over the receivers, and they were managing the defense. They ran it down their throat. So you're drafting Ohio State defensive players. I'd be curious about that. I don't know. The Lions took a defensive tackle. I heard his name once in the game, and it's like Chase Young. So Sanders clearly not being it's not clear. He could be drafted. He could go as he'll probably go as a free agent. Nobody wants to deal with him because of his bad attitude. So bottom line is if he had talent, they'd draft him, and he doesn't. So we're now down with 4 rounds. Nobody's going to draft. Will Howard, I don't know why they're not drafting him, but I could understand it. I can't believe Gabriel went in the 3rd round, but Cleveland got the quarterback they needed, and they got him in the 3rd round. It just shows me the GMs are like the government, where the government doesn't understand inflation and everything. Neither do the GMs understand how to draft they're looking at different tangibles. They look at these little scrimmages that they play, with the shorts and T-shirts. Wow, what great arm strength. They're missing the point. That's not what you look for in a quarterback. It's, can he read a blitz? Can he throw the guy? When I watched Penix last year, and I watched him in those big games against Oregon, those I watched live, and he just put the ball right on the receiver's fingers, 30, 40 yards down the field. You let this guy fall to 8, and you took Caleb Williams based on what? What are you basing it on, Caleb? And now, again, they take a tight end and a receiver. Well, you had 3 receivers last year, Chicago, and you couldn't do anything. So you get rid of what's his name? Keenan Allen. So you had Keenan Allen, you get rid of him, and then you bring in Colston Loveland as your tight end and some other receiver. Well, you had 3 receivers. The kid Romo Doozy's not going to do anything. He only did something because he had Penix. I think you do okay with the Indiana quarterback, Curtis Rourke. He'd be a good one for Oakland. Very sound. That's right, because of Gabriel was taken yesterday. Well, yeah, but not really. There's 2 quarterback. There's Will Howard and there's Jordan McLeod really on the board. That's it, just 2. The others aren't pros. Anyway, so this is the problem. Everybody's is talking trade war and tariffs, and it's just meaningless. There is no such thing as a trade war. There's no such thing as balanced trade. You don't trade with other countries to balance it. If I traded my cards to profit, we're not keeping score. Well, I gave you these 4 cards. They're worth $100,000. The idea is not so profit sells me $100,000 worth of hockey puck or Canadian club. He benefited by getting the cards cheaper from me than other countries. That's it. That's the point of it. You benefit. That's why you should have free trade. And you're not worried about balanced trade. Where is this coming from? They create these things. There's no such thing as balanced trade. There's no such thing as tariffs. If somebody's tariffing you, they're idiots. Oh, well, we can't sell our stuff because they won't. Well, that doesn't matter. We aren't competitive. So we got to find what is. So, in other words, the horse and buggy, well, wait, nobody's buying it in China, but they're selling us cars. Yeah, because they don't want the horse and buggy there. We don't have anything we sell anyway. We can't compete in it. Our labor is too expensive. So what are we supposed to be selling? We sell stocks, we sell houses, we sell our banks. We sell different products to it. And yes, nobody's talking about the $17-30 trillion in our stock market. That's the balanced trade, right? It's the stock market, but nobody talks about it. The money in our banks, nobody's talking about it. You're only looking at it from a manufacturing standpoint. Well, nobody buys our Fords. Well, nobody wants your Fords. It's just like nobody wants Prime Junior. That's why he ain't drafted. Nobody wants our Fords in Germany. Believe me, they'd rather have the BMW and the Audi and the Mercedes. Nobody wants it. Russia, they want Mercedes. They don't want Fords and GMs. The product you make is not European. They don't want it. Or, Japan, they want Toyota. I want Toyota here. So the product, believe me, if you made a good product, Ford or GM, they would want it. They would pay for it. They don't. So there's no demand for your product. This is the biggest thing I tell you. You must have demand. If there is no demand for this Lemieux card, it's worth 0. It's his rookie. It's Lemieux. There will be demand because I got Lemieux. But if I got Claude Lemieux instead of Mario, he wouldn't have a value. He'd have a very small value because there's no who wants Claude Lemieux's card. So again, that's why you get things with good demand, and that's why you have a market. The market is, I want to sell something. Is there a buyer? Well, the buyer, okay, we're the buyers. What do we want? Yeah, I want Joe DiMaggio and Mickey Mantle and Derek Jeter and Lemieux and Bobby Orr and, Joe Montana. That's the market, is what the buyer wants. The buyer in America don't want Ford and GM. They're pieces of shit. So if I'm in Japan or Asia, I don't want a fucking Ford Fiesta or whatever. No chance do I want that. That's what it's about. It's got nothing to do with tariffs. It's got nothing to do with, it's got a lot to do with the money's worthless. So Saudi Arabia doesn't want our money because it's worthless for their oil. They want gold-backed currency for their oil. That's what it's all about. All right, let's hear a little more of Egon, and we'll correct him.
Now we happen to be living in an era where we have a global debt of a magnitude that has never existed in history before. It's not just one country or one region or one empire. It's the whole world. So you can't have one country or a few countries saving in another country. It just isn't possible to save it. And that's the big difference to before. The world has never been in a situation like this. I have said from the beginning, to a debt crisis of this magnitude, there is no solution.
Well, there is. It's gold. That's why BRICS is doing gold. The reason that the world's in this is everybody's doing the same crap. They're all printing monopoly money, right? Whether it's the euro or the dollar or the yen or the yuan or the ruble or Swiss or British pound or Canadian, everybody's running the same playbook. It's not backed by gold. It's worthless. It's just paper. And everybody's Venezuela and Chile and Sri Lanka. And the only one that figured it out was Zimbabwe, who did come out with a gold-backed currency. But every other currency is not backed by anything. That's why there's this world. It's not a debt crisis. It's a bunch of morons listening to George Soros, not backing their money with gold. And in 1971, we got off the gold standard. Why didn't anybody else get on it? So this is the problem. So the world is doing the same thing. They're not backing their money with anything. Therefore, it's not worth anything. That's the problem right there. So is there a solution? Gold is the solution, but they refuse to understand that. Really, Rolexes are part of the solution. Real assets are the solution. Picasso's, Van Gogh over here. Those are what is worth something. And again, that's not a real Van Gogh, but it is a Van Gogh. It's a poster. But that's where the value is. A real asset goes up in value as the dollar drops. Now, gold isn't worth more because of the dollar going down. It's like any other asset. It has value because it's demanded. And the price goes up, the value goes. When you see the price of gold go down, you just got to laugh at it. So a little bit more.
They will try all the normal things that they did in 2008, the latest time, printing money, reducing interest rates, etc. But it's going to have no effect because there is no buyer of that printed money except for the Federal Reserve Bank or other central banks. And therefore, you might have a temporary stay of execution of a few months maximum, and they'll come up with new currencies and new, digital currencies, etc., to replace the old ones. But all of that, I think, is going to happen so quickly that there won't be any real period of peace of delay, because the whole thing is going to unravel so quickly. As I've explained in my articles about exponential moves, this is where we need to help each other, of course, to the extent that we can. And then, I think that will also be a time when then family values will come back. Now that they're, right now, of course, families as the kernel of society has disappeared today. So I think, it's going to be horrible, and a lot of people will suffer. But I think actually it will lead to something good. It will lead to a better.
It's not going to lead to anything, and the people that suffer are the ones that don't have gold and silver. It's just as obvious as that. If you want to hold something that has no value, you get what you deserve. So if you want to keep holding this and keep your money in a 401k and keep money in the bank and buy Bitcoin with this, and when it goes to zero, what do you expect is going to happen? Don't come crawling to me for gold. As I tell my friends who don't want to listen, I have a 401k. Okay, fine. Don't come to me for gold. And, I keep a little gold for the girls, but that's it. So this is the dollar that's worthless. The only way out, if you come out with a new dollar, will help a little for a few months, and then it'll go to zero. Like in Germany, when the Weimar in 1923 hit, you needed a wheelbarrow. They went from the Reichsmark to the Deutschmark. It only lasted a few years. In 1932, when Hitler comes aboard, they're broke too. It's not like they didn't. It's not like they had money. They were bankrupt. Why do you think Hitler went to all the countries and stole all their gold? And Goering stole the paintings because they bought real assets because they knew that's what they did. So they're basically the mafia going country to country with an army and stealing your gold and silver. That's basically what Germany was. And that's basically what Hitler was. He was the Don Corleone. That's what happened. And that's what are we going to do now? Is to say, well, good luck going to Russia and China and stealing their gold or any of the BRICS countries. Will that happen? Maybe. Maybe China goes to India and steals their gold. I don't know. But China sure has a shitload of gold. They got 80,000 tons because they'll steal the citizens' gold. And then you have the Russians. Putin's got a whole swimming pool full of gold. He's got a gold train. He's got gold houses. He understands gold versus the bullshit money. Where did all the Nazi gold end up? Well, if you watch The Monument Man, and it's on Netflix now, they hid it in mines in different cities and in that, and the U.S. found it. So I think a lot of it ended up in your Fort Knox until the guy from Die Hard 3 took it. Britain probably stole it. The U.S. probably stole it. France, Russia probably grabbed some. So they found it, although they haven't found it all, but they did find it in mines. So watch the end of The Monument Man, and they'll show you all the gold. And they took it out, and they put it in Fort Knox, or they put it in the Federal Reserve or the London Bullion Bank, and that's how they got the gold. And it's the same gold that Rome had, and then France had, and Spain had. It's all keeps moving around because these people who lead it are not economists. That's why I'm so what's the word? So dynamic and in demand is because I know what's going on and you don't. You don't get it. I mean, you guys do because I teach it to you, but most people don't have. That's why they're in their 401ks. Oh, well, I'll keep my 100 grand in the bank because it's my retirement. It's not worth anything. They can't understand that concept that the dollar has no value. If you keep printing it, it's, that's the Titanic sinking. So the water coming into the Titanic causing it to sink does not mean you move from the second floor to the third floor or second deck to the third deck of the ship. You're going to be any better off. But that's what people believe. They don't believe the ship can sink. Oh, it's unsinkable. They don't believe the dollar is worthless. It is. It's not my fault. I'm just pointing it out. They printed it to death. That's what happens when you print and print and print. And we keep printing it. And George Soros is loving it because he wants the end of America and he's getting it. And Trump is an idiot, doesn't know what he's doing. We'll do tariffs. We'll raise it to 140%. Oh, you know what? Gosh darn it. We'll lower it. We'll raise it. We'll lower it. He looks like an idiot. You shouldn't be having tariffs. You should only have free trade. I read that to you over and over and over. What's the 5 things for a country? Have gold-backed currency, have free trade, have small military and small government, have good laws, sound money and good laws. Geez, and you'll be a great country. And that's what happened with the U.S. from 1776 to 1913, gold standard, and we were number one. We get off of it in 1914, and we've been collapsing ever since. And we're fucked. And now it's the end, and we're fucked. And all you can do is be smart enough to use JP Morgan, who's been keeping the price of gold and silver down, and buying gold and silver and saying thank you. And instead of being all pissed about why is silver not going down, be happy you can still buy it now because it's going to take the same run that gold's doing soon. Tunnels, yes. Why are you questioning tunnels? Do you not know what a tunnel is? I know you're Canadian, but you should know what a tunnel is. So they had a lot of railroads and stuff like that, and cities had tunnels, and they put it in tunnels. Salt mine, a lot of mines. I'll make it simple for you. And the salt mines where there's salt and there's tunnels and it's underground, and that's where they stored a lot of the gold. But the U.S. found it, or the Russians found it, or the British found it and stole it, took it out of there. But it wasn't. That's why a lot of the countries moved their gold to the U.S. or mostly to the U.S. Like France moved their gold to because here's Germany about to attack. They're only attacking for one thing, to steal the gold. So France doesn't. If you knew somebody was going to come in your house and steal your gold, what would you do? So you're getting all these bars coming in profit. Somebody's going to steal. You're going to move your gold out, because once you lose gold, you can't get it back. So that's the problem. So you then move it to a safe place. And that's what they did. They moved it to mostly the New York Fed and Fort Knox, which I don't know if Fort Knox came in. Yeah, it was there in the 30s. So that was available. And that's where most of the gold went to, or maybe England, but I don't know. And then maybe Russia stole some once they found it in these salt mines. What about South America? Don't ask me a riddle. I'm not the Riddler. I can't answer it. What about South America? Well, they have gold mines there, as we know, the Cougaran. So they kept their gold there probably. I don't know if Germany was in South America. Did Germany go to South America to steal their gold? I have no idea. I haven't heard that. They're mostly in Europe. They went to Africa to get their oil, but I'm not aware that they went to South America to steal the Cougarans that were there. After the war, what about after the war? Are you talking the Nazis after the war, or what? They made Cougarans. South Africa has a lot of gold mines. So that's maybe a different story. So does China, so does Russia. They have a lot of gold mines. I don't know what your question is. The Nazis, you asked the question, where did the Nazis' gold end up? And mostly, I'm telling you, in Russia and the U.S., maybe in England. Did it end up in South America? I don't know why it would have. They weren't even in the war, were they? I don't think it ended up there. They have their own gold mines. So I don't think the Nazi gold ended up in South America. They weren't in the war, from what I can tell. They probably were neutral, but you're giving it to Fort Knox and the Fed, and then you might bury some in the UK, because that's who had the gold after, right? The London exchange and the Comex. That's where the gold was. Anyway, so it just blows my mind how people are just clueless. You tell them the Titanic's sinking and the dollar is the Titanic. You're printing it. It's worthless. Why can't people understand that when you print money, it's worthless? What is so difficult about that concept? Oh, the dollar will always have, because we're the reserve currency. Well, that doesn't mean anything. What does the reserve currency even mean? That you're, oh, well, that means that if we're the reserve currency, that it's always worth something. Again, it's like this whole trade balance. It's got nothing to do with anything. The reserve currency, first of all, it's not the reserve currency anymore. The BRICS gold-backed currency is the reserve currency, right? 44 countries joining BRICS. They're all using the BRICS gold-backed currency. The fuck are you talking about? The only reason people use the US dollar before it's worthless is because they need to, it's if they are trading amongst and they need the US dollar. So if Switzerland and Britain want to make a purchase, you need dollars to buy the British pound or the Canadian dollar. Switzerland can't do it, but the BRICS are saying fuck you, and the Chinese are going right to Brazil, and there's no U.S. in the middle, where China's going to India, Saudi Arabia, Russia and China, Russia and India, all the BRICS countries are trading amongst themselves. So all the dollars are coming home to roost, and that's massive inflation because now you got more dollars. But that's why when you're getting, how'd you get off the Titanic? You found a lifeboat. So in economics terms, why are you getting out of the dollar? What's the lifeboat? Gold and silver. There's no other lifeboat. Why is that such a hard concept for people? I don't. Do they not want to believe the dollar can be worth shit? Do they not understand? You got idiots in charge. You got a guy named Keynes that people are listening to. Why is that so hard? Well, you just don't want to believe it because then we're fucked and you don't want to see that you're fucked. Well, you're fucked. Take your head out of the sand. You're fucked. That's as simple as I could get. So I'm done with Egon. And the other guy, I think there was a little Mark McGuire. I'm not going to get into this today. See, I was watching Michigan, Oregon, watching how Dylan Gabriel picked them apart, wondering he went in the third round and he picked apart Michigan, who had 4 guys in the first round on their defense picked in the first round. He had no trouble. Boom, 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 boom. The receivers were wide open. He didn't get sacked. What am I missing, right? I mean, that's where you get it from. You watch the fucking game. You see him pick them apart, get 35 points. Ohio State got 10. All right, 16 if they kick their field goals. In Michigan, and it was like a joke. Anyway, let's see. There was a Mark McGuire I looked at. See, this I don't like. Silver will hit $1,200. You have 1 month to seize the 100 times. And when you watch it, it's a very little bit of alligator who just explains the same thing. It's not the dollar. It's the dollar going down, not gold going up. How do you explain the price going up then, alligator? And if the dollar's going down, why isn't silver going up? He can never explain it. And it's just, you can't even listen to him because he sounds like an idiot. All the bullion, all the bricks, they're not buying gold. They're selling treasuries. Well, I'm not getting off the Titanic. I'm getting off the Titanic, but I'm not getting off to get into the lifeboat. What an idiot. So it's hard to watch him sometimes. Anyway, I think that's it. And that's it. So, again, let's go through baseball. My picks: Detroit, 2-unit. Cincinnati, 2-unit. Philly over 7, 2 units. Texas, 2 units. Detroit over 8 in the nightcap with the 2 minor leaguers going. That's 3 units. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 picks. NBA, I've been so hot with the NBA. There was 4 games, and I don't remember. I should write them down. No, not baseball. So we got Cleveland's beating Miami 62-42. Is this today? Okay. So I think we took Cleveland there. Yeah, laying 5.5. They're up 20. That's a winner. The one game we did kind of look is Memphis getting 15.5 from Oak City. We thought they might stay close because Oak City's up 3-0. We like San Diego minus 5.5 over Denver, and Golden State minus 3.5 is probably as close to a lock as we got against Houston. So it's Golden State at home, San Diego at home, Memphis at home, and Cleveland. And Cleveland's up 62-46. So Cleveland's laying 5. I mean, that was a joke. We just keep cooking in basketball. It's all psychological. Teams that need to win at home because they can't win on the road, especially in a 7-game series. That's all it is. But you need my feel and touch to do that. Well, why would the Browns take Prime Jr. when they took Dylan Gabriel? That really makes no sense. Prime Jr. cannot compete with Dylan Gabriel, that's for sure. But then how much is Dion? Then now it's a circus. You get Dion. Why would they take Dylan? Why would you take Prime Jr. and Dylan Gabriel? Very strange. You know, and then Prime will be at practice every day. Oh, my son's better than all these other guys. Anyway, that's what you got. So good luck today if you're betting hoops or you're betting baseball. Oh, I made a transaction in Coinbase. Sure, I did. Except for I don't have Coinbase. This is why I have gold. I don't have to worry about all this crap. This is a scam. Somebody says you made a withdrawal out of Coinbase. Well, I don't even know what Coinbase is. If it's crypto, then it shows you the danger of having Bitcoin. All of a sudden, people are going in, stealing your Bitcoin because you think it's safe. Why would I even get this message that somebody made a withdrawal in your Coinbase, which I believe is Bitcoin, which is impossible because I don't own any Bitcoin. Why do you want me to call? And then I'm going to call and say, oh, somebody did that. It's a scam. But if you don't own it, you can't get scammed. So beware of this Coinbase scam that apparently I've gotten 3 messages on today about me doing things that I don't have Bitcoin. So I just laugh, and my gold is safe. So it's not like anybody is selling my gold because nobody has it but me. Anyway, I think that's about it. Chinese today, I feel like that. I did take chicken out. I'll cook that later. And I go to the swim in about a half hour to the pool, and then we'll see what's going on in the draft. So good luck today if you're betting. Most important bet is to be Rumpelstiltskin. Most important thing you can do is trade this for gold and silver, especially silver now. Now, I showed you gold went up to 33.18 at the end of the day. China gets its hand on it Sunday night. We got this close to 3,500 last week, 34.95. But again, it was weird. It was like Europe wasn't involved. So Europe went and dumped to make money on the derivatives going down because it had jumped so high and there was a big gap. That's all that was. But you can see it's going back up. It'll be back to 3,500 soon. I would guess 3,400 during the week, but this will be stable 3,400 because it'll be bid and sold. But there's less people selling because it's all Ponzi schemed by JP Morgan. That's all Comex is. I don't know why it's still used, especially in gold, when they don't even have physical gold to pay off when people take delivery. And they certainly don't have physical silver to pay off when people take delivery. So my advice is you don't take delivery on Comex. You go to the store, and the stores are stupid enough to use the Comex prices See, on a sell point, you don't want to sell because it's way too cheap. On a buy point, you do want to buy at the coin store because these prices are way cheap. You buy a 30, you buy, if I went to buy this ounce of gold at 33.18, it cost me 34.28. And I would laugh and sing and dance out because I know it's worth 20 grand. Where else can you buy a $20,000 thing for $3,400? And silver's at least, I'm going to say a minimum of 1,000, but probably more like 2 or 3 for $34. I mean, where else can you get that? So keep that in mind. It's a joke, and go from there. Anyway, I did get my unemployment, so I will start buying more silver with it. Again, I'm Rumpelstiltskin. I don't want US dollars. I pay my bills, and everything left goes into gold and silver. So the question of how much do I have and do I have enough? You never have enough. If you're buying something for $10 that's worth 50, do you have enough, or do you buy more $10 worth that are worth 50 that are going to be worth 5,000? So as much gold as you can buy. If you can't afford an ounce, buy a quarter or a tenth of an ounce. Purely fine. I'm starting to see 1/50th of an ounce. I wouldn't buy those, but I mean, you could. But I see 1/20th of an ounce maple leafs that, if you can't afford it, but you got to watch the pricing because the 1/10 are about 370. The 1/20th should be about 200. Should be half of that, right? So if you got to pay more, you're better off with the 1/10. But there's certainly nothing wrong with getting the 1/10s and just keep buying them up because you'll get the bet when you sell them, you'll get more than 1/10 of an ounce. It's like they're selling for 370. A tenth of an ounce is not 3,700. It's 3,300, but that's okay. So you go on eBay and you sell it for 370. So you make it up when you sell if you sell it on eBay. But anyway, just keep buying from the coin guy and saying thank you for being so stupid to use Comex as your pricing mechanism. But they all do it, so they really don't have a choice. My guy couldn't sell it for 10 grand. Nobody would buy it because of the competition, who are all wrong. So anyway, be careful with that. All right. Well, have a good day. See you tomorrow. We'll go through all the draft. We'll go team by team tomorrow. It didn't make too much sense today because they only had a couple of picks in, and there's what, rounds 4, 5, 6, and 7. So keep in mind what's going on there. All right. Have a nice day, everybody. www.teaserking.com, and I will see you tomorrow. If you want to email me, please do. www.teaserking.com. Go to the homepage. You get my email. All right. Take care, everybody. Good luck. Buy your gold and silver now before you can't, because it's not going to be around. The supply is very limited. So all of a sudden, you go to buy it, it's not going to be there. And if it is there, it's going to be much more expensive. So we're just starting to, 3,500 is around the corner. It'll be 5,000 soon. So, and silver is going to wait until July 1st. And then once it turns tier 1 in Basel III, then buy as much as you can. So buy it now, and you're going to wait to hear that. When you hear that, then you'll see it go. All right. Take care, everybody.